Come on! Let's go! Time we're gonna take it home. Let's go. Let's go. Do it. Do it. Make it happen. Where there's a Mets man, you'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets cheer for all your Mets here. Let's go. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home.
Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.
Mets fans, welcome back to Talking Mets here, Rob, and another live stream during a New York Mets game. The New York Mets face the Philadelphia Phillies, game 75 of the season. The Mets record is 34 and 46 games under 500, and they are going through a stretch right now over the next couple of weeks, 16 games, as I pointed out yesterday in the Mets off day report live yesterday. There's 16 games for our New York Mets where they're facing every team that is in front of them that is dealing with a wild card spot. And that is the Mets' opportunity to either be pretenders or contenders in 2023. This will make or break their season. There is no question about that. So don't forget, guys, to please hit on that like button. And remember, guys, the game is on Apple TV Plus tonight. So if you don't have Apple TV Plus, hang out with us. Make sure you share the stream so more people can see this stream and hang out with Mets fans and other people are alike, so we can actually hang out, watch the game. And of course, I do believe Wayne Randazzo is calling the game, and I do believe Steve Gelbs is going to be one of the on-field guys as well. So that's going to be very pleasing for Mets fans, and it is good to have a sound of a familiar voice. So that's where we are when it comes to our New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies have been playing well in June. They've been putting themselves right back in the hunt in the wild card spots. And, of course, the Mets are 4 games from the Phillies. And as I said earlier, the Mets need to do exactly what they need to do in these 16 games. Again, no matter if you're a believer of this team, are you optimistic, pessimistic, the point of the matter is that you cannot deny that the Mets have everything right in front of them over the next 16 games that leads right into the All-Star break through July 11th. The Mets have an opportunity here to play every team in front of them, and if they don't get through the 16-game stretch I would say, I think at the very least, so you make some ground, is to go 10-6 in the next 16. And the way the Mets have been playing, they've been playing, under 400 ball. That is not something that is, there's no belief, there's no, I guess, not even optimism that they can do that, but they have to do that if they want to turn their season around. There needs to be a 4-game swing either way. If you get a little bit closer to 500 and you get a little bit closer, you jump over some teams over these next couple of weeks, that's when you can start talking about a possible playoff push or a possible deadline being buyers or sellers. That's where the Mets have to be at that point. But if they have a 500 record or a losing record, it's probably nearly impossible to say that at the deadline that these Mets would not be sellers, because that would be almost impossible for the situation that the Mets are currently under, which is 6 games under 500, and put themselves in a massive hole in the first 74 games of the season. Obviously, game 75 is today. And I see D-backs. I saw your comment up there. I don't know what the D-backs are going to do. They're one of the better teams in baseball. Very shocking to a lot of people. Nobody chose them to be leading the NL West right now. I'm not going to be standing here, buddy, to say that I've been watching D-backs baseball on a daily basis. I'm mostly sleeping or at work while the D-backs are playing, so I'm not going to be the first one to tell you. I do know they got very good starting pitching. Their bullpen, I think a bullpen can always help another team, so you probably look for bullpen. Your offense seems to be pretty good, but you never know. You might need somebody off the bench, that utility guy, that type of guy that you're looking for the D-backs. But I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I'm not, really on the D-backs right now trying to figure out what they're going to do. Because in all honesty, though, they're a good team, and you know what? They have an opportunity to make the playoffs, and that's all you can ask for a team that probably wasn't expected to be where they are right now. So Tilly says, what does their record need to be to call the 60-game stretch a success? I would think you would have to be a game or two within 500, either 2 games below or 2 games over. Obviously, you want to be over 2 games over 500, but it matters what other people do that are in front of them, right? The Braves are playing the Reds. At this point, we all know the Mets ain't catching the Braves, so you need the Braves to beat the Reds because the Reds are in front of you right now, right? They're leading the Central, but you are facing teams like the Brewers very, very soon, and that's important to the Reds, obviously, but you want the teams in the Central to lose a little bit. Like, I think I believe there's a team playing, I forgot who it was, that are playing each other, that both teams are in front of each other, that are in front of the Mets, but, you want them to beat each other up, so I would say, I always say this, by the trade deadline, if you're within 3 games of a wild card spot, and I think it's irrelevant how many teams are in front of you because of the fact of the balance of schedules now, everybody plays everybody. So all you have to do is win your ball games, and it usually works out the way it should. So I always believe 3 games within a wild card spot by the deadline, I believe that you should be a buyer. You don't have to be a huge buyer. You can be a little buyer, buy a bullpen arm and stuff like that. I don't think it's got to be that crazy, because if you look at the years past, let me know what the Atlanta Braves did that was a huge deadline move. What did the Phillies do last year that was a huge deadline move? What did the Houston Astros do as a huge deadline move? Right? They got Christian Vasquez and Trey Mancini. That wasn't, they didn't move the needle, right? So you got to look at it and see what exactly this team needs at the deadline. And, a lot of people were talking about starting pitching. You hear a lot of rumors about Patrick Corbin. You heard about Shane Bieber. The Mets can use that as like taking on salary and not giving up a ton of prospects, stuff like that. Now, I don't know, again, any arm you could say is better than what we have out there, but be careful what you wish for, because the player that you might think the Mets want, and you're saying, oh, well, why didn't they get Shane Bieber? Maybe he can turn back to the pitcher he was, a couple of years ago. Well, what if he isn't? And you give up, say, a top 5, 10 prospect, and you take on the money of a guy like Patrick Corbin. Now you're in trouble. So it is, a guy like Patrick Corbin, I think, is a guy who needs to find that slider again. I think, it's similar to what we talked about with Scherzer with that slider. He went into, on what he said was the lab and saw the break on his spin rate, the break on his slider, and where he needs to throw it. And you saw what he did against the Astros in the first game, right? That slider was magnificent, right? But there's been a lot of times this year, almost every time, that his slider has been hanging a lot, and it's been getting crushed. So with that said, can the Mets fix Patrick Corbin if they take on that huge contract and probably don't have to give much? And maybe you can get a bullpen arm in return from the Nationals as well. If you take on that entire Patrick Corbin contract, it doesn't look good, but you know what? We know he has the stuff, right? You see it sometimes when he pitches. He pitched against the Mets. He pitched really well the last time he faced the Nationals. So there's a lot to look at when it comes to the New York Mets and what they're going to do. But it all means nothing if the Mets aren't within striking distance of a wild card spot. You can't be 5 or 6 games out of a wild card spot and expect this team to be buyers, even small buyers. Now, would they stay pat and say, all right, we're not too far out where one stretch and you can be right back? All you need is a 10-game stretch, right? You've seen the Reds, who haven't had an 11-game winning streak since the 60s. So all the people that love to bring up history and, the LOL Mets and the Mets history and everything like that, the Reds haven't won 11 games in a row since the 60s. So are they automatically a good team, or they just had a good stretch? Even the Oakland A's had a 7-game winning streak. Does that make them a good team? This is baseball. 162-game season. Everybody has stretches, good and bad. So, is it the youth movement where the Reds have all this youth movement and that's going to put them on top? But what is it when the league gets a little bit of information about them and it goes around the league and then they struggle a little bit because the league figures them out? And then what? They're going to be a bad team again? You have to look at it both ways. The Mets have not been a good team all year, right? After the 14-7, the first 21 games of the season, they have been a very bad team. Like, there's no, pussyfooting around. There isn't no excuses, even though a lot of people and a lot of players and a lot of the coaching staff has been making excuses for this team, through the media and probably just themselves. I really truly believe this year that they walked in thinking that their talent and talent alone would just get them into a playoff spot, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of teams do that. But I do think that when it comes to looking at what the Mets need, I think it's more within than it is outside people. Because if you don't want to trade prospects, which, I already fought with people last year with talk about the future, because welcome to the future, right? You got 2023 with Alvarez and Beatty, who were putting up better numbers than what third base and catcher did last year. And now why are people complaining? You got the 2 kids up, right? You want to see the young guns, they're playing, right? So, and people says, I'd rather see the young kids play and lose than having veterans play and lose. Well, you got both. So what is it? Again, all I hear is complaining, but yet the Mets are scoring 5 runs per ball game and still losing ball games. Better runs per game than they were last year, so it comes back down to the piston. When the New York Mets pitch well, they usually win. It's few and far between, but it's a fact. And again, there's too many people that love to talk about, when June comes around and the Mets aren't playing well, they're like, oh, they're done. They're done. I can't believe they're done. It's terrible. Yet you lived through 2015 with the New York Mets, who had Eric Campbell as your cleanup hitter in July, right? We lived through this. We lived through the Murphy before the 2015 playoffs. We lived through the Lucas Duda left field experiment and then playing first base, right? We lived through Ruben Tejada as your shortstop. The Mets didn't have homegrown names, and they were a 500 ball club by the trade deadline. I can assure you there was many Mets fans that did not believe this team would even make the playoffs in 2015. The reason why I bring back history is because of the fact that people love to bring up history when it's a negative situation when it comes to the New York Mets. But when you bring up other teams that is more recent history than 2015, like the Philadelphia Phillies. Everybody's like, oh, you can't relate to the 2022 Phillies. Why not? They had one of the worst defensive teams in baseball and the worst bullpens in baseball. Yet they were still scoring a ton of runs, but they were losing at a rapid pace like the Mets were this year. So what is the issue? And it's not like the pitching for the Phillies were very good. Besides Wheeler last year, nobody was pitching well until later in the year. So, and it's not like the Phillies got a Juan Soto or Yoenis Cespedes. They got bullpen help. And it's the players that they had on their roster that actually performed better. That same bullpen that had over a 5 ERA actually had a full run better, and it made them better. Sometimes the guys on your roster have to perform better. It's not just who you bring in. So let's not act like the 2022 Phillies were the best team in baseball all year, and they proved it. They had a great June last year, but they came back to earth in late July into August when the Mets were in town in August. And I even said to you, Philly fans were walking out of the ballpark when the Mets were beating them in Philly, and I was in the middle of August. And they were complaining about how this team spent a ton of money because I was sitting next to enough of them, and how this team's not going to make the playoffs. So let's not act like people are just talking about, like Philly fans knew this team was great from day one. And if they tell you that, they're lying. All right? So let's not act like Brave fans who always are on this channel, JL, Bravos. There's two or three Brave fans that always come on this channel and show support. They would even tell you, 2021, did anybody think after Acuna went down that Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, and Eddie Rosario was going to be big pieces to a puzzle for a World Series run and a World Series championship? Come on, seriously. Like 2019 Nationals, did anybody think when they were 5 games under 500 by the deadline that they were going to win a World Series? Baseball doesn't work like that. As much as I might know, you might know, or the other person might know, we really don't know, right? Because it takes a 10-game stretch like the Reds, right? The Pittsburgh Pirates looked great in the first 2 months of the year. They came back to earth, right? The same thing with the San Francisco Giants. The Mets played the Giants in middle of April, right? Did they look like a team that was going to be anywhere near a playoff spot? No. But they're close now, aren't they? Right? The Miami Marlins, who chose them to be in a playoff spot? I don't remember anybody choosing those teams, even though I did have them over 500 in my projections. Better than a lot of people expected. And you know that LOL Mets thing where everybody in the beginning of the season was like, well, look, you only beat the Marlins in the first 10 games of the year. You got swept by the Brewers. Oh, so now that doesn't matter, right? The Mets beat the Marlins early in the year, so it doesn't matter now that they're good, right? You see how that one works? And that is the most important. That is the thing that really does piss me off. When it comes to people like, oh, the Mets are done. The Mets are done. Well, the Phillies had a worse bullpen than the Mets did at this point last year. Their defense was rated the worst in baseball last year, right? If you were to poll Philly fans in June, even when they were going through a better stretch, you would think you would get about 80-20 if you would have asked Philly fans if the Phillies were going to make the playoffs when they were nowhere near a playoff spot. That is what is so frustrating, because people act like the Mets are the only team that are so disappointed in baseball when 7 out of the top, the one out of one team in the top 7 payroll. Well, actually, it's 2 now. Technically, the Yankees that are tied for a wild card spot. 2 teams out of the top 7 payrolls are in a playoff spot, and both of them are wild card teams. So let's not act like we're the only team that is having a disappointing season, because the same Padres who've been spending money before the Mets have been spending money have been a disappointment, right? The Dodgers, who has been the first payroll for many years now, won a pandemic World Series and choke every year in the playoffs. So let's not act like the Phillies were spending money before the Mets were, right? It was still the Wilpon era when the Phillies were spending a lot of money. They finally made the playoffs. So let's not act like these teams are so much different than the New York Mets when it was very, very important. No, Ken, it's not about the past. The point of the matter is people who bring up the past for the negative aspect don't want to bring up the positive aspect of history. That is the problem. I don't put them down. I gave a lot of credit to the Phillies. But let's not act like the Phillies were the best team in baseball who made the World Series, because they weren't. That is the point. The point of the matter is you got to make the playoffs. Who cares how you make it? Everybody wants to win a division. Again, we keep on talking about, and that is the problem that I don't understand. Like, let's bring up history when it negatively, when you have to fit up the motto of LOL Mets, right? But when I bring up the Phillies last year, oh, don't bring up the Phillies. You can't do that. It's a different team. No, it's not. It's basically the same team. Guess who was scoring more runs per game than the Phillies like they did last year? The Phillies were scoring 4.6 runs per game. The New York Mets now are scoring 5 runs per game, right? The pitching sucked for the Phillies and the defense sucked for the Phillies. So it is exactly like the Mets. So let's not act like the New York Mets are this anomaly when you've seen teams in your own division the last 2 seasons that did exactly that. Now, the Braves were better in 2021, but let's not act like Acuna went down and everybody thought they were winning the World Series, because it wasn't true. Well, Jesus, Braves won a ring with the record they had pre-All-Star break. I agree with you. Well, but that is the point, though. Like, I'm not saying the Mets were more talented than the Braves in 2021. That wasn't true. But it's not. We act like the Mets weren't the 2015 Mets were a good team in June, because they weren't. Like, how many years in a row have you seen teams that were mediocre at best, hovering around 500 or a little bit worse than 500, go on a run late in the season and make some noise in the postseason? We've seen it over the last 6 years. And this is not a positive take on the Mets, because they played like shit. There should be people fired, right? I don't see any pitcher that looks better for the New York Mets. I said this, Jeremy Heffernan should be fired. You know, if people want to fire Buck Showalter, go ahead. But when things don't turn around, don't act like it was the manager when it was basically the pitching staff this whole entire time. So, you know, people need, see, here's the problem. People need talking points, right? People want Buck Showalter fired so they can talk about it for a week, and then when things don't change, then they really don't have nothing to complain about. That is the problem. Pay attention to what is going on here. I'm sorry, Justin Verlander giving up 4 runs against the Astros is not Buck Showalter's fault. Now, you can get on Buck Showalter with bringing in Ottavino, putting in Robinson in the 8th and bringing in Ottavino in the 9th. Yet, people act like he didn't do that like 6 times this year already. So, it didn't work out. So, that's when people complain. But if it worked out, nobody would have complained about it. You know, that Monday morning quarterback nonsense that I always talk about. Right? Everybody wants to be a manager until when the results happen, and then they'll do the exact opposite. Because I can tell you right now, if Ottavino came in the 8th and Robinson would have gave it up in the 9th, people would have complained about that as well, because you're a Monday morning quarterback. And yes, I am talking to you, Ken, because we talked a lot about that. And Ken, I know you're back, but you are not going to one-up me when it comes to stuff like this, because of the fact that you've been talking about Buck Showalter for months now. Yet, everybody was kissing his ass last year in 2022. Is he having a good year this year? No. But you're going to fire a guy for a bad season is a joke. And that is the stupidity and the reason why the Mets never win, because people want managers fired. That's why the Jets suck. That's why the Cowboys suck. That is why teams like the New York Rangers, who every 2 years to 3 years fire their manager and fire their coaches, and then they wonder why there's no stability in the front office and in the dugout. Because consistent teams keep guys around. They don't make a judgment call because of a little bit of a bad part of the season or a bad situation. That is a problem that people don't understand. You are a joke when you talk, let's fire Buck. Why? So last year doesn't matter, but this year does. You see how stupid that sounds? And again, this is not giving positivity to Buck Showalter. He didn't have a good season. But let's not act like the players don't play on the field either, right? We all talk about Rob Thompson. Oh, look what happened when they fired Joe Girardi. Yeah, okay. And it took Joe Girardi how many years with the Phillies not making the playoffs to fire him? It's not the same thing. So if you want to bring up that history, but I can't bring up the 2022 Phillies as a whole. You see how stupid that sounds? Well, it's everything. That's the whole point. Yeah, managers get fired over, but not in baseball. Right? Not in baseball. Maybe basketball, and the game's about to start. So we're going to get game day up here. Nemo's coming to the plate. Let's see if the Mets can actually have a ball game here. Here we go, guys. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you can hear it. Here we go. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you can hear it.
Two strikes right out of the gate to Brandon Nimmo.
That's a very good sign right there by Walker. But not here comes that splitter. Loves to throw it in counts like this.
Brandon Nimmo probably thinking the same as he laid off. And it's 1 ball, 2 strikes on Nimmo. An 8-year contract in the offseason to stay in New York.
Right, especially early on, most of the hitters in that Mets dugout, they're trying to see the takes on the hitters, right? They're trying to see what type of stuff he's got. Walker's, most of the time when you face Walker, his stuff is alive. His fastball gets on you. His splitter's got a good bite to it. A lot of those, even those takes right there, like that take from Nemo.
Sorry, Apple TV is freaking low, guys. I apologize.
Is he rushed out there taking that pitch, or is he just nice and balanced?
And that's a shot for Nimmo. Should be caught by center fielder. It's a shitty day in Philadelphia, just like in New York. So
Walker retires. They want to start the ball game. Walker got a 4-year deal to sign with the Phillies in the offseason. Put together a pretty good year for the Mets last year. Had career high 12 wins, a 3.49 ERA. He and Chris Bassett were big parts of the Mets rotation last year. Both left for free agency. It did leave some sort of a hole in the Mets rotation for this year. Kodai Senga coming in to help fill some of that, as Starling Marte looks at a strike from Walker. Starling Marte had a terrific year last year for the Mets. He struggled some this year. He's only hit 3 home runs. The speed is there. He has 20 stolen bases. He has not been nearly as dynamic of a player this year as he was a year ago.
One thing with Walker as well, though, he's been great at home.
I know, Ken.
With a 2.25 and 6 starts. Place where most hitters like to come here and feel really good about themselves.
Tapper right back to the mound. Walker, a great fielder. Didn't have to reach
2 outs
for that, though, as he retires Starling Marte.
at least we get Rain Randazzo to call the game at the very least.
So far, Walker's been.
Don't forget, guys, to please hit on that like button.
Cutter right now, they're good split. The fastball's right where he wants to throw it. The second out of the door, though, he likes the fastball. There's not one fastball he doesn't like. he likes to jump early on guys too.
It's just missed from Walker to Francisco Lindor. It's been from the left side where Lindor has found his struggles this year. Typically, his splits are about even between left and right. This year hasn't been the case. He's been much better from the right side.
I think that's just a case of trying to do a little too
Hyper,
much
what's
on the
up?
left side. Look at his barrel rate's up, his hard hit rate's up 45%.
A big hack came up empty there. It's 2 balls
Apple
and a
with the
strike on
stupid
Lindor.
freaking camera angles.
Too, especially
Jesus.
or hitters counts like right now 2-1.
Dominic, how you doing?
If you're Walker, you continue to throw that soft stuff, that split.
Missed with that one, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike on Lindor.
Carl, good luck.
Power's been there. He hasn't been getting on base as much, not as many hits otherwise. Most of his hits have been extra base hits.
Watch out right here, his action count.
Trying to put the ball into action, he fouled it off, and now it's a full count. 3-2 on Lindor. That's in there. Strike three call at the bottom of the zone of the inside corner.
Pitch that could have went either way, but they call strike 3 on Lindor, and the Mets do not score in the top of the first. Bottom of the first coming up. Senga on the mound. Once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. Mets and Phillies, game 1 of the series, game 75 of the season for our New York Mets. The Mets are 16 under 500 and are looking to try to do anything to make it themselves relevant at this point. And again, it takes a stretch here. It really does. You know, there is no stick about it. Well, Ken, listen, I was on McNeil for a very long time. I don't think he is the player that everybody wanted him to be, right? Everybody, I'm sorry. Consistency matters. When you have one good year, one bad year, one good year, that's not consistent. And you can't have a player that has no power at all, and now he's batting 40 points below his career average. Can't happen. Well, Tilly, the Mets need that, right? Because the Reds, Brewers, and Pirates are running after that division in the Central. So, listen, at this point, you got to be a Braves fan. Let them beat everybody in the Central because it's going to help the Mets at this point. Well, Andre, that's true, but what about the Houston series? That didn't really help the Mets, did it? Right? First inning runs are nice and all, but their bigger problem was tacking on runs as well. That's been another problem too. So Mets don't score in the top of the first. Again, we know the Phillies have been playing a lot better, and their month, even last year, even when they had a bad July, they had a very good June that kept them relevant. And even in August, they weren't playing very well. And we remember at the end of the year in September, it took them the last couple of games of the year to make the playoffs. Like, this wasn't a team that was floating into the playoffs in mid-September. They were still fighting for a spot. And there was no guarantee except for like the last week and a half of the year. So, again, this is a team that, their lineup is very good. And the last time Senga faced the Phillies, he pitched very well. But that was at Citi Field, and we know the road struggles for Senga. So Schwarber is leading off. Senga on the mound, bottom of the first, no score.
Again, he is the designated hitter, batting in the cleanup spot. A lot of talent in that Philly order against Kodai Senga, who pitched very well against the Phillies at Citi Field. Really his best start this season coming against Philadelphia. 9 strikeouts, no walks, 7 innings, didn't get run out.
I agree, Ken.
What you see is what you get, right? 6-4 with a 3.53, but you're going to see that 96, 97 mile an hour fastball. You're going to see a lot of cutters and a lot of that forkball. He loves the forkball, especially in tough situations. Buckshot Walter talked to us and he said, hey, this is a guy, he'll let you know. I mean, he wanted to know how he was going to fare with major league hitters, and he's answered the bell.
So I noticed this umpire is calling that inside a little off the plate strike. So that's a sign that Senga and Walker are going to get that inside zone. That's a little off the plate. That was exactly the pitch that Walker struck out Lindor on. If that's a pitch that's going to get called a strike, Senga and Walker is going to have some good nights.
with Schwarber here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Schwarber laid off the high fastball.
Well, Mothman, yeah, they say that now, right? But check back in the beginning of the season. They were talking about 92, 93 wins. So let's not act like, you know, they know anything. Did you see that trade for Ohtani that they brought up there? It's ridiculous.
Has full control over it.
And, oh, wow. Where was that pitch?
That was
Wow.
the ghost fork. It was so
That was a good pitch.
there at the bottom of the zone.
I'm really impressed though with Alvarez behind the plate, how soft he is at catching those fork balls. A young guy, boy, looks like a veteran.
He's 21 years old. Full count pitch coming. Schwarber
And he pops it up.
Nimmo got a late start in, but he's calling for
And Nimmo drops it. There you go.
mistakes the Mets have been making this season.
Nope, that's been the Mets' problem all year. Well, Ken, there's your guy.
But as Nimmo got a late start coming in, he was still in position and couldn't quite put it away.
That's got to be a can of corn. Can't give.
Communication the whole time. There's a situation.
Gotta catch that.
Right there.
He's calling it too.
Boy, you're giving away outs like that. It's
Must be the contract.
Pretty dependable fielder, Brandon Nimmo, given an error. He's worked really hard over the years to become a much better outfielder, a good center fielder, and he has been.
I guarantee you he's telling Kirby.
It's amazing. Nimmo's been making the great plays, but the easy ones lately, it's been like impossible for him. It's weird. Very weird.
A lot of times during this part of the day, right? You got some gray, very gray clouds. It's hard to kind of see the ball go up. A lot of things you're dealing with. You haven't been out on the field all day because it has been raining.
Yeah, it's a
You
pop-up.
haven't been able to take fly balls out there in batting practice. All of a sudden, you get put in a surrounding with 25,000 people in a stadium. They're all screaming. You can't hear your teammates. Very difficult.
It's the first error that Brandon Nimmo has made since September 2nd, 2021. He played 151 games last year in center field. He didn't make any errors the entire season. Nor has he made one yet this year until just now.
That's a lead.
Trey Turner will fly ball down the left field line, but it is hooking and it is foul.
It's a very rare changeup right there. Escobar through to Turner. One of the night, you like to see the fork ball. You like to see some fastballs up in the zone.
All right, let's see if Sanger can pick up his defense here.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Turner. And one bounced in, gets away from Alvarez over to second base, goes short.
And the wild pitch gets Schwarber to second.
That's a ball that's thrown.
That's nearly impossible to block for
Before reaching home plate.
Alvarez there.
Trying to do all he could
That
to
ball
get
bounced
his
before the
pitch.
plate.
You can't just square it up. All of a sudden, you don't become a catcher. You're a hockey player. You're a hockey goalie. Hang with him.
Trying to go with the mask save.
Yeah.
Turner stays alive and bounces one foul. It's still 3 balls and 2 strikes on Turner, who signed a $300 million contract with the Phillies in the offseason. He's still trying to live up to it in year 1. This is one great baseball player that will certainly have great moments in that uniform.
Ooh.
That's inside the Turner.
Nice pitch, but Turner laid off that. First 2 men on. Ethan through Apple TV.
And the Phillies have something brewing with 2 on and opening. I think Castellanos coming in.
That was a very tough at bat by Trey Turner right there. 9 walks away from 300 walks in his career. It tells you how patient he is. A guy who can slug but can also take his walks. All of a sudden now, you're saying you're the Mets. You're in a pickle.
Hey,
right
Carlos, how you doing?
now. The first inning.
Well, an error, that is certainly something that has bitten the Mets lately. Mistakes in the field. For Senga, we saw 2 things that have stood out for him. A wild pitch, he has the most in the National League, and another base on balls.
And moments like this, first and second, he really likes to go soft. And this is his bread and butter. He'll die with it, and it's soft, and softer. He'll throw a couple fastballs here and there to move your eyes, but for the most part, you're going to get that forkball.
There's a strike of the fastball from Sega. The Mets have had a tough time in the first inning this year. They've been outscored by their opponents 54-21 in the first innings of games this season.
Man, I talked to Castellanos earlier today. He says, this is the best I've felt. I haven't been able to do that much pre-work because my body feels tremendous right now. I haven't felt this way since I started in the big leagues. He's really taking care of his body. That's a ball player right there. All he thinks about is baseball. I call him in the off-season, Wayne, and I say, hey, what are you doing? You want to go play golf? He says, no, I'm in the batting cage. That's my stuff. I don't do anything else but baseball. I breathe it and I live it.
Oh, there, he got the call. There you go. And now the umpire gave us a call. Well, he called that for Walker, so he's consistent. Well, that wasn't a strike, but that was a late call by the umpire. But again, you know, it wasn't as far out as you think, but he called that for Walker. So, all right, well, we got 1 out, 2 on. The problem is the pitch count. 18 pitches so far for Senga.
There was some thought as he was coming through the Mets system that he would need time to blossom defensively, but he's blossomed very quickly.
Yeah, he sure has.
Harper up the end of his bat, just flips one over third, and gets down.
Well, that sucks. Schwarber scores on a blue hit by Harper. 1-0 Phillies. Well, it was a good pitch, but hit it where it ain't. It's a good pitch, too.
But he stays just enough inside of it to get it out the end of the bat. You see right there, look how he stays through that baseball. He can't even find it. He's like, where is it? Where is it? Oh, my goodness, I got to run. You see how in front he is, but look how connected he is with his lower half. Even though you're full, you're still connected. You're giving yourself a chance. That's a no man's land right there, man.
That was a good read by Schwarber there to get that start running, because if he would have waited longer, he might have not been able to score. 1-0 Phillies.
Good block there by Alvarez. 66 miles an hour off the bat for Harper on that base hit.
Doesn't matter how hard you hit him.
Nope.
Yikes, Ken.
Like to hit the ball a little
Must be that terrible flower of the weather.
So OPS under 500 at home this year. It's been over 1,000 on the road. That's that one long but fun. That's the sort of style where you say, okay, that's how it's happened, but that's certainly not predictive of anything that's going to be coming up for Real Newton.
No, you see this guy and what he does and what he's done in his career. I mean, as an elite catcher as it gets, not only defensively, but as a hitter, he's up there.
Certainly one of the best catchers in this sport. JT Realmuto has been excellent for the Phillies. Another forkball in the dirt.
Another nice block by Alvarez there.
Just what he brings on the offensive side, but what he brings for defensive side. I mean, this is a guy who shows up and does all his scouting reports on his own, then compares it as well with the pitching coaches and the staff. I mean, this is a guy, but when you talk about the woes of the first inning for the Mets, I mean, it tells you right there. It's been a struggle for them.
55-21 now. First inning.
3-1.
Against the Mets.
23 pitches for Senga.
The worst in the major leagues.
Well, good thing we sent down Tyler McGill because he got another bullpen arm. Looking like it's going to be another bullpen game tonight.
In the first couple of innings, if you want to beat a good team like this, you got to get them early.
3 balls and a strike. Realmuto takes
all 4.
The second walk of the inning. There's been a wild pitch and a blue base hit for Harper.
So, you see what happens when you make an error. Should be 2 outs and it would have been nobody on. Errors kill, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so they're on the mound right now. On the pitcher's mound right now, doing a visit. So again, you know what? An error, first batter of the game. That would have been one out right there, nobody on, and the inning might have been different. Can't give teams extra outs. I don't care if they're good teams or bad teams. You just can't give errors. Nimmo dropped the pop up. Again, he came in on the ball, but it is a pop up. Like there's no excuse there. Well, Ken, that's your $20 million man. Right? That's who everybody wanted. Now you have him. The guy can't make regular catches anymore, but he can make great catches. So, yeah.
24 pitches thrown here by Sega. Now he'll face Bryson.
KTU, he's been our best pitcher. I mean, he has a 3.2 ERA. It's not terrible, considering it's his first year in the bigs.
He's a multi-hit machine. The 24 of them.
The problem, he can't get that ball up, even his fastball.
Well, the base is loaded here. It's ball one.
Definitely not a good mound visit, I guess, information. But your first pitch is a ball after a mound visit. Pitching coach won't like that much.
Easy? No, I did it. Let's see if Nimmo can catch this one. He does. Sack fly, 2-0 Phils. Yeah, shooter, but I'm sorry, but he has a 3.24 ERA. That's not bad, considering this is his first year in the bigs.
Not much of a leg kick. There's not much action in his lower half. Just trying to get a good pitch. More than not, it looks like it's got a two-strike approach from the beginning of the at-bat until the end.
You know, it's not even just looking at the rest of the pitchers. He's had a good season considering it's his first year. You know he was going to struggle. But to him to have under a 4 ERA is a little surprising, to be honest with you. I mean, at this moment, he had a better ERA than Bassett at this point and Taiwan Walker at that point. So it could be a lot worse. All right, let's see if he can get out of the inning with just 2 runs here.
Here's Alec Ball. He goes after the first pitch. Alonso hoping for a play, but doesn't have one. There's Kevin Long, one-time Mets hitting coach. He's bounced around the National League East. He was with the Washington Nationals as well. Mets fans will remember how he turned Daniel Murphy into Babe Ruth.
Shooter, yes. I think ERA. Like, what are you going to give me? I'm sorry. ERA matters. You know, you're one of those people that don't care about batting average either.
Yes. Every time he was up, he was hitting a home run.
I'm sorry, but so Apple TV is a little behind, and as you see, game day, and so he gets out of the inning somehow. Quality start percentage. All right, so fly ball, and Marte gets it, and the Phillies get 2 runs on the board in the bottom of the first. Quality start percentage. Yeah, that's stupid analytics. All right, I don't care about that. I don't. Right? I'm sorry. Well, no, Ken, I agree with that. Oh, I said it from the beginning. I wanted Trey Turner, and I would have thrown him in center field. I said that from the beginning. Again, this is not saying that Nimmo's a bad player. I'm just saying to the fact that for $20 million for a guy that even when last season was over, nobody thought Brandon Nimmo was getting $20 million. All right. I don't think he's a $20 million a year player. He just got on the free agent market at the perfect time, and good for him. Now, Nimmo is basically the least of our worries, but he's had games this year where he cost Mets games. Like, you can't drop easy fly balls. You can't make stupid base running errors like that. He's done that this year. But again, the Mets have many other problems. It's not just to pinpoint Nimmo. We're talking about Nimmo now because he dropped that pop-up. Let's be honest. It's a can of corn. Right? You can't drop that ball. You know, the inning could have looked a lot different. Ken Turner has been bad this year. But there's been many people that said he could play center field. Again, I could be totally wrong. But I think career-wise, Turner, from both of them getting new contracts, I think Turner's going to have a better career with the Phillies than Nimmo's going to have with the Mets. And on top of that, Nimmo has been healthy 1 year this year. 1 year in his first 6 years as a Met. So until he gets through another season, then we can talking about Nimmo being a healthy player, because the majority of his career he hasn't been healthy. That is the other reason why I didn't want to give him the contract. And that was before any numbers. This is the offseason. And again, Nimmo's the least of our problems. We need to fix our pitching, then worry about center field, but you have to catch that ball. Yeah, Ken, 1 year. I'm sorry. I don't give 1 year of health. Aaron Judge had his best year of his career, and then he gets a huge contract, right? Brandon Nimmo had 1 good year. Nimmo was healthy last year. Again, guys, you're not listening. Pay attention. And the Mets are starting. So here we go. Again, you're not listening, guys. Listen, please. Brandon Nimmo, in his career, has not been healthy. He hasn't played over 130 games until last year. That's 1 year. And again, let him do it consistently, and then we can have that. Now, it's nice that he's staying healthy this year again. We need that. But it's 1 year he's been healthy, guys. Let's not act like he's been consistently healthy throughout his career. And I don't care about fluke injuries. Fluke injuries don't get you on his field.
You don't really want a full run right now. You want to put all the pressure on
No, it's the Mets drive me nuts every year. You guys are not listening.
Gotta be careful here, though.
Of course it matters last year. But again, you're only going on last year. You can't just go on 1 year and say, oh, well, he was healthy last year, so that means he will be. Right? And Pete hits a shot that just is going to miss it, and it's gone. Home run. Pete Alonso with a leadoff home run in the second. That's a home run. That's gone. That's going to be a home run. Yeah, I'm going to look at the past because that's how Nimmo got a contract. If Nimmo sucked last year, he would have got $10 million. So let's see if it bounced off the wall or hit the fence in the back. Let's see what happened. That's a home run.
See that fencing right there? That's where the ball has to go over.
Oh, okay, so that fence, it hit the fence, so it's a double. All right, so it's not a home run. Yeah, he wasn't healthy in 2021. It's not, because you get a contract for what you did, not for what you're going to do. Right? That's what we always talk about. Right? Pete Alonso is getting a contract for what he's already done, not because of what he's going to do. All right, Vogelback is up. Nobody on. No outs. Alonso with a double to lead off the inning. I can't believe Pete hit that ball that far. He got jammed. No, Joe's a different story. Again, another year where he's injured. There you go.
Don't have to explain the ground rules to Buck Showalter, though. He spends about an hour with the umpires before each beginning of a series so that they know the grounds crew and they know the rules.
Vogelback pops it up, might get out of play, and it does.
That's 2 balls, 2 strikes on Vogelback.
Peter, I'm watching on Apple TV, unfortunately.
He think he was 100% sure. More than not, he'll give you a better flip. He'll walk it out a little bit on you. But watch, hey, do I have enough of it right now? That's some good swings right there. So far, though, both of these Mets hitters, Vogelbach and Pete Alonso, they've controlled the strike zone.
And Vogelback strikes out, 1 out. And game day is going to be a little bit faster than Apple TV because obviously you're streaming, so it's going to be a little delayed than game day. Well, Stevie, that's the point. Hector, I like to, but it doesn't work properly while I'm streaming. I've tried. It's pretty cool, but it's hard. And it's already delayed, so because of Apple TV, so I'm a little shocked that Tommy Pham is playing over Canna since Canna's been really hot against the Phillies.
Over his last 18 games, he's their best hitter with runners in scoring position. Well, he wouldn't tell from that swing. Nasty pitch from Taiwan Walker.
He's done such a great job this year. He even told Buck Showalter, I'm going to win my job back.
All right, Mets had a leadoff double from Alonso. Vogelback strikes out, and Pham is 0-2.
Phenomenal job so far this year.
2 strikes on Pham, who signed a one-year deal in the offseason. Spent time last year with the Reds and the Red Sox. See his numbers with runners in scoring position pretty good. Leading the Mets in that category. Bounce to third, and Mundo Sosa handles that.
2 outs.
And a couple of outs for Walker after the leadoff double.
He's found himself earlier on, especially with Pete Alonso. Taiwan didn't really have that split. He's found it, especially against Vogelbach, and now against Pham. He's talked about going with it, right? That's his bread and butter. That's what he's going to die with.
So here's Jeff McNeil, who's been struggling.
That slider, but he's figured out, hey, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with my best stuff, and that's my splitter.
Jeff McNeil, batting champion last year in the National League, getting 267 this year.
Ground ball, the first will end the inning, and it does. Mets do not score after a leadoff double. 2-0 Phillies going to the bottom of the second. Again, lifeless at bats for the New York Mets. Wait, hold on. But it's 75 games into the season, so it's not 2 seasons yet, Ken. It's 1 season and a half. That's it. Again, Nimmo can round the bases tomorrow and pull a hamstring, and then what? Right? Again, let's not act like before the season started, Nimmo had 1 season of a healthy season and had his best year of his career. Which, again, this is not saying Nimmo doesn't deserve that money. He deserved it. He got that money because the center field market was very bare. That's why he got that money, because the Mets had to pay him that much because there was other teams after Brandon Nimmo. And again, Nimmo is the least of our worries. I'm not ridiculous, Ken. You don't understand the fact that you like Nimmo. That is your guy, right? The whole Brandon Nimmo jersey and all that stuff. Brandon Nimmo is not a $20 million a year player. He's not. Let's not act like he is or ever will be. All right? I'm sorry. $20 million a year players, you got to hit at least 20 home runs, right? You got to bat at close to 300 at the very least, right? You're getting a 260 hitter who hit 17 home runs. And again, leadoff hitter, his strikeouts are up a hell of a lot more than they were the last couple of years, which is concerning. So right now, I think he had a better season last year than he is this year. So you're getting your $20 million player from last year, not this year. So before everybody just talks about, oh, Nimmo's not the problem. No, he's not the complete problem. I mean, we can talk about 100 other players on his Mets team. Yeah, Ken, I agree. Everybody's overpaid. That's a fact. But at the same time, let's not act like Nimmo's a great player, because he's not.
For the Phillies against Kodai Senga.
So let's see if Senga can do his job and keep it at 2 and see if the Mets can actually find some life with the offense.
Great start offensively this year. His number is
Easy. You sure about that? Because right now, everybody who hates on Lindor has the best numbers in clutch situations.
The whole purpose of having a guy like Brandon Marshall around is so that he can patrol center field the way that he does.
He's a very solid defender. One thing I've noticed, though, is that
Bellinger wouldn't drop 5 balls. I'll tell you that much.
It's a little cool and cloudy tonight. You don't think the wet hair, but a lot of like Italian grandmas are really feeling badly right now looking at Brandon Marsh. Don't go outside with a wet head.
Says that he wets his hair more than 15 times per day.
Why?
I don't know, Wayne.
Well, he's a part of the problem at this point, right? Everybody is, right? You can't drop fly balls and put your pitcher in a position right away. Can't do that. And Nimmo, I mean, you can a handful of plays this year. He's already caused the Mets a lot of problems.
It's long.
And again, this is a whole use of problems, right? Nimmo's just a part of the problem. He's not the only problem. If that's the case, that can be fixed, right? Because, Mike, I'm not talking about clutch when it comes to games. I'm talking about clutch in clutch situations. That's an individual performance in a game. You know, do you consider Mike Trout a clutch player? Or you don't count him clutch at all because the Angels, for the most part, have been bad for a long time? Easy, you can do that all you want, but the numbers show otherwise. Lindor is dramatically better than everybody on this Mets team in clutch situations. Popped it up. Should stay in play. And 1 out. Yeah, exactly, Ken. Right? I'm sorry. The last person we should be now, Lindor's got to get his average up. His on-base percentage is low as well. But he has the most extra base hits on this team, the most in the National League. He has just as many home runs as just as many RBI home runs as Bo Bichette, who leads with Lindor in home runs as a shortstop. He leads shortstops in RBIs, and he's fourth in the National League in RBIs. Now his average has got to get up there, but Lindor is not the problem, right? For the moments we've just killed Nimmo with the pop-ups lately, Lindor has been one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. And again, Lindor is a streaky player. We all know that. But again, Mike, stats aren't selfish because individual stats make a team. Andre, it wasn't McNeil's fault. Nimmo was calling the ball. So that's on Nimmo. Sam has been our best clutch hitter for the last 3 weeks, but entire season, it's been Lindor. And that's pop up. Lindor should have it. And he does. 2 outs. Well, oh, Ken, don't act like I didn't. I gave tremendous credit in Pittsburgh this year when Nimmo made that amazing catch, crashing himself into the wall. I give him credit for that. But again, every great play, you better make 2 or 3 can of corns. Nimmo dropped 2 fly balls within a week and a half. Ken, you don't have to believe me. You just don't want to listen. It's all right. Yeah, but I'm not talking about analytics. I'm talking about real numbers. Extra base hits is not analytics. Anything where you have to do multiple mathematics and you basically have to go through a freaking calculus class to figure it out, that's analytics. Yeah, I am all over his ass. Because when you make a mistake, you're getting called out for it, just like when you make a great play. Popped up, foul ball. I call out players as soon as it happens, good or bad. Right? I think I was right about McNeil, wasn't I? How much did I get killed last year from McNeil? Strike 3. Good pitch. So Sanger has a 1-2-3 inning in the bottom of the second. Mets coming up in the top of the third. 2-0 Phillies. What about Lindor? I killed Lindor for that messed up double play in Pittsburgh, but I give him credit for what he's done. And then what he did in Houston as well, hitting that 3-run home run in game 1, right? I did make a big deal. I guess you weren't watching that day. Yeah, everybody wants Frank Feldman. You know what Frank Feldman's problem is? He is one of those people that the Mets will win the World Series, and they'll talk about the third inning when a Mets pitcher probably gave up a home run. That is not a fan, all right? He's a big baby. That's what he is. And you know what? Barstool and Frank Fleming, they're all a bunch of babies. All right? They don't do anything well at all. Oh, trust me. Everybody replays this, unfortunately. Right? There's a lot of Philly fans that are not here right now that will comment after the ball game. If the Phillies win, they'll have something to say. If the Mets win, they won't talk at all, right? A lot of you have been on this channel the whole year during the season. Where have the Philly fans been? Right? They were all over the first week of the season. Now they're nowhere to be found. I want Lindor. Nimmo has terrible numbers in clutch situations. That's not a lie. That's a fact. And don't give me, BABIP or OPS plus to tell me that he's better, because it's not true. Right? Lindor's a 260 hitter who has 4 home runs and has 17 RBIs in clutch situations. 20 RBIs in clutch situations. When Nimmo, now it's hard to judge Nimmo and Lindor because Nimmo's a leadoff hitter, so he's not going to get a ton of clutch situations like Lindor batting 3. So let's not give all the credit in the world to Lindor. When you see, it's hard to, Nimmo's a leadoff hitter. You're not going to get in a lot of clutch situations. A lot of the time, Nimmo should have more runs scored than because of Lindor being that clutch player. Shooter, okay, and what was the problem old school last year? Was that a problem? Don't talk about old school, because old school is not the issue. The issue is people don't care about average, but when all of a sudden Lindor hits 212, people care about average. Exactly, Ken, about Nimmo. Johnny, I appreciate the super chat, buddy. Always appreciate it. Gotta believe. Some way, somehow. OPS plus don't tell me anything. I'm sorry, if analytics works so well, why is it destroying baseball? Yeah, explosive. I laughed at that so hard. And SNY should fire Andy Martino just for that stupid article. Good eye, Alvarez. Yeah, you can't get the trial anymore. Last year, you can get the trial and watch the game. So, unfortunately. Easy. Okay, so again, you're going to bring up on-base percentage, which is one of 2 stats that Lindor is bad at, but every other stat is perfectly fine. You see, that's what I'm saying. You can use any stat to fit a narrative, just like I do. Alvarez ground ball should be an out, and it is 1 out. Yeah, but again, easy. I don't care about on-base percentage when you bat third in my lineup. I care about on-base percentage as your number 1 and number 2 hitter. So if you care about on-base percentage, then you should love Vogelback then. You see the problem with that? That's why it's stupid when people bring up analytics. And then the same people who are not around anymore were on the Vogelback fan squad because of his on-base percentage. I don't want my number 5 hitter to have a great on-base percentage. Give me a better slugging percentage and give me a clutch spot in big spots and extra base hits with 50 RBIs. Yeah, okay, Shooter, you want to believe that, then you can waste your time with that because it's not a good stat. It's not. It's a terrible stat. Anything that needs a plus to it, right? Apple TV Plus must be good, right? Because it has a plus in it. Come on. Stop it. OPS plus, OPS, right? In baseball now, you go look at the screen, and oh wow, OPS is, they don't even put averages up there anymore. But yet, now everybody wants to talk about average because Lindor average is bad. See how stupid that sounds? No, I don't want to think about it. I know about it, right? I can look at a player and I can tell you if he's good or not. You don't have to give me 97 stats to tell me this guy is good. Because when you're reaching for a stat to tell me a player is good or bad, then that's when analytics are stupid. Yeah, but you see, here's the problem with OPS. OPS does have average in it, but it doesn't weight it as much as power numbers. Lindor is not a power hitter, so OPS is pointless for a guy like Francisco Lindor. And Beatty strikes out 2 outs.
This year from Eduardo Escobar. Just came across here that there has been a trade involving Eduardo Escobar.
You can see that speaker right there falling out of the table, and all that tells you, Wayne, is
Shooter, I don't need to do elementary math. You want to use your analytics to give me stupid stats and tell me so Lindor's not a good player because his OPS is not good. Yet he's the most clutch hitter, which should be more important than OPS. I don't care about his OPS in the 7th inning when the Mets are down by 10 runs.
Eduardo Escobar goes from the Mets to the Angels for 2 minor league pitchers, Landon Marcel
Whoa.
and Coleman Crowe. That just happened.
So Eduardo Escobar got traded to the Angels for 2 minor leaguers. How about that?
Southern California. Hope he gives me a ride back. Here's a drive to right center.
All right, that might be gone for Nimmo. There we go. Brandon Nimmo makes up for his mistake. 2-1 Phillies. All right, there we go. That's how you make up for that error. Well, easy. The Mets probably spoke to Turner and asked if he wanted to play center field. But that's also aberrant on the Mets, who let Brandon Nimmo get into a situation where he put him over a barrel. Yes, Escobar just got traded, guys, to the Angels.
how about this answering back with 1 run of his own? That's gotta feel so good.
Well, there was nobody on, so that's not Nimmo's fault.
All you gotta do is touch him.
Yes, Escobar just got traded to the Angels for 2 minor leaguers, 2 pitchers. Very interesting.
Now with count 1 ball, 1 strike.
Fucking Reds. Love it.
Cracking a home run off
I love team like that because it makes every baseball writer look even more stupid when they make their predictions. Ground ball should end the inning, and it does. So the New York Mets score a run on the Brandon Nimmo solo home run. Nimmo, as according to some people, half makes up for his mistake. Why did we trade Escobar? Well, I mean, now everybody wants Escobar on the team all of a sudden. I mean, we just got 2 minor league pitchers for Eduardo Escobar who's not playing. Yeah, what are you going to get? You're not going to get a major league. You're damn right it will be. You're damn right. Because not enough. See, Ken doesn't look for the moment, right? He doesn't look for the moment like a lot of people don't, right? I think Ken wanted the Mets to make better moves last year, right? Ken, are you on this bandwagon of, being a prospect hugger? Peter, I don't think he's worth $20 million, but the market said what it was, and that's why Nimmo got it. And that's fine because there's probably about 100 players in Major League Baseball, if not more, that are overpaid. Well, Jimmy, we don't know about these minor leaguers. These minor leaguers could be ready to go. And listen, didn't everybody want to fill up their farm system? Well, the Mets just did it with somebody who's basically irrelevant on this team now, right? Maybe this is an opportunity for Ron and Mauricio to get called up. You never know, right? It is funny that he gets traded to the Angels, which was Epler's old team, because he knows people. So, no, exactly, Ken, exactly. Lindor's not worth $350 million. I've been saying that since they signed him. Because people look at the money and think that Lindor is supposed to hit 35 to 40 home runs when he never is that type of player. That's the stupidity. Exactly, Grant. Both of those kids are AA. And I was just looking that up right now, actually, while I was talking. Escobar was traded. They're not trading money. I mean, it's $10 million. Like, let's not act like it's a lot. But it does shed a little bit of payroll. Well, that's what I think it was, Mike. I think it was a veteran replacement, which is a good sign, which is a good trade for the Angels. But listen, it's a smart move by the Mets. You build up a couple of arms in your farm system, and you never know. One of those guys might actually help us out. You never know. Bottom of the third, 2-1 Phillies.
Talk to us here in the bottom of the third. Francisco, can you hear us? Doing great. How are you? You sleeping enough? You got a new baby?
Not sure, guys. So they mic'd up Francisco Lindor, which is always stupid, but
Francisco yonder here, man. How much?
I'm gonna check something right here. Hold on, guys. I want to see something.
Buck, you wanted to play that night, and Buck was like, "Yeah, I don't know."
Oh, I'm not surprised by that, Christian.
You should play, but you ended up coming in and getting a pinch hit and then getting rocked, man, with 102 miles an hour.
Coleman Crow and Landon Marceau.
One ball, 2 strikes on Trey Turner. As he cues 1-5.
Mike, I don't think that has anything to do with the sell-off. I just think it's just a matter of Escobar's not really helping this team anymore. He's basically dead weight who plays like once a week, and you can get 2 arms in your farm system. So I don't think it's a bad trade for either side. No, Lendo, they're not calling the season. I'm sorry, Escobar's trading is not calling the season. Ken, somebody timed you out? I didn't do it. I haven't even touched the mouse. I'm on my phone trying to figure out who these guys are. So the mic for Lindor is very, very low. So I don't know why they're talking to him.
Well, one of the things I wanted to ask you is about your swag, man, because you always got swag. Wayne, former teammate, you should have seen his locker. It was shoes on shoes on shoes. But talk to me about the New Balance Lindor 2s, the summer storms that are coming out, man. You got to talk to me about that, man.
It's a blessing, man, to be able to say I haven't done really long in really two.
So the Mets got the 19th and 20th prospect in the Angel system for Escobar, which is kind of funny, actually. That's actually not bad. And both of them, Crow. Oh, let me see. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Let me just see what they do here. And strikes out Turner. 1 out. So Coleman Crow has a arrival time to the big leagues this year. And Landon Marceau is looking like he can come up estimated arrival next year. So these are guys that could possibly be as – I know one guy is injured right now, but – because I like to bother you, Ken. That's why.
Eduardo was traded to the Angels just a few moments ago. The trade was announced.
So should be a quick 2 outs. There we go.
What does Escobar mean to you, and what has he meant to this club over the last
Nimmo home run. Crossface, what do you mean take a page out of the Reds book? Being a last place team for 7 years straight and being number 1 overall picks every year and not being relevant at all? And then getting top picks everywhere? The Mets have been picking in the top between 9 and 15 over the last couple of years, not the top 3 like the Reds have. It's a big difference. Ken, that's the truth. So see if Senga can get out of this inning with no runs again and get the offense back out there. See what they can do.
One ball, 2 strikes on Bryce Harper.
That's okay. You know, you drink your coquille many different ways, man. It's okay, man.
See if Sagan can get out of this inning.
I think a split's coming here.
The fastball, maybe you do is got 2 balls, 2 strikes on Bryce Harper. Francisco, what's changed your perspective over the last few years of being in New York now and getting used to being a Met?
It's great, man. It's a great city. The city will always match your energy. And the organization continues to grow and continues to get better.
Emilio, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, the 20 home runs is nice. Like I said, Nimmo's got to get that average up a little bit and limit the strikeouts. But, I mean, again, Nimmo's the least of our problems. And Bryce Harper walks with 2
That's
outs.
one thing with Francisco. He's going to show up early. He's going to work hard. He's going to play.
Fucking Reds, man. It's
And
crazy.
He expects that from everybody. All of his teammates. He cares every single day as a teammate of his, man. And I've always said this, not because we're talking to you right now, but my number 1 shortstop in the National League, but the funnest guy I've ever played with. I mean, the amount of craft that it takes to do what he does, people don't see a lot of the things he does.
Well, Mike,
11 in the morning every day.
the Escobar move was in relevance to the Gio Urshela news. They needed a third baseman. They got a veteran, popped it up, should end the inning. And it does. So Senga gets out of the third. 2-1 Phillies going to the top of the fourth. Again, this was a move that the Angels probably called up the Mets because Gio Urshela is out for the year. That was their third baseman. They said, we need a veteran at that position. Could we get Escobar? Obviously, Epler knows that farm system pretty well. And I can assure you, I guarantee you, Epler probably drafted one of those guys, if not both of them. So he probably knows those guys. And Epler had a good draft for the Mets last year, so he knows some of these guys. I guarantee you he probably drafted them. So getting 2 top 20 prospects from Escobar, that's a good deal in return for the Mets. Because Escobar wasn't helping his team, right? And, you know, he was basically dead weight. He was playing once a week. Maybe this is an opportunity for Ronnie Mauricio to come up now. We'll see. Yeah, you know, people don't talk about that with Ohtani at all, Ken. I like when you bring that up. So we're going to the top of the fourth. Mets trail by 1. Yeah, but Drury is not a guy you want playing third base. You need somebody that's sure-handed, and Drury's not. Escobar is sure-handed at third. He'll give you good defense and probably the occasional pop. Probably won't be a great hitter for them. But again, he's going into a lineup with Ohtani and Trout. So, you know, that might help him out. Mike, you sure about that? It depends how are we 10 games over 500. Because if the Mets were 10 games over 500 with Beatty playing third every day and Alvarez catching, why wouldn't you make that deal if you're the Mets? If Escobar's playing once a week, occasionally twice a week, no. This gives you an opportunity now to bring up Ronnie Mauricio. Well, Grant, that makes sense too, to bring second base. Again, this is probably a situation where the Angels call Billy Epler. Very simple. Again, nobody should dislike this trade on either side. This is going to help the Angels, and it gives 2 arms in the Mets farm system, which we've been complaining about. All right, here we go. Top of the fourth. Lindor is up, down by 1.
Walker's look good. What are you saying for him?
Lindor, base hit up the middle. There you go. Leadoff hit by Lindor. Alonso coming up.
Thanks, Rob.
Rob Thompson, the manager of the Phillies. Taiwan Walker gives up the leadoff single here in the fourth. Francisco Lindor.
The little baby cutter right there to Lindor. Dumping it early on as well. Not waiting around the first at bat. He swung at the first pitch. The second at bat, I felt like that's kind of been the approach from Lindor to Walker. You got to get him early.
It's been Alonso doubled off the wall and left. It's first time up. Takes ball 1. Lindor and Alonso in the middle of this Mets order, providing a lot of power. Not many of the base hits this year at least. Lindor is average lower than usual. Alonso's as well. But really, at the end of the day, a Mets offense hasn't been as much of a problem for them. It's the pitching and some of the other things they've had to worry about.
And Alonso missed the hanger. That was a pitch right there where he should have drove to right field and drove. He just got under that pitch. Just missed it to right field. Had the right idea going to right field with that pitch, but just got under it.
See, he's a little frustrated right there, but it's a good pitch to hit. Just missed it. Just a hair long. I would think Francisco
Easy,
right
probably,
there is
because
going to
McNeil will probably go to left field.
and steal a bag. He's pretty very slow to the plate, and Walker is a 1-5.
All right, Vogelback is up with 1 out, 1 man
Take
on.
advantage of that.
Not much of a lead at first for Lindor. He was leading a little bit. Walker has a good move. He'll pick you off. He has had several pickoffs over the course of his major league career. The Mets, though, have been running at will. Lindor has 8 stolen bases. The team has swiped 30 consecutive bags without getting thrown out. Lindor was actually the last Met to get thrown out trying to steal. It was on May 10th.
A lot has to do with that guy.
Well, Jimmy, the Mets just gave him a contract, so he ain't sitting anywhere.
Does an exceptional job. He's a base running coach.
Everybody Nimmo put people on base and a couple of hits and a sac fly.
One ball, 1 strike on Vogelback. Mets as a team are 56 out of 62 stealing bases this year. They have the highest stolen base percentage in the majors. And that streak is the longest in the National League. Since 1989, the Cardinals that year swiped 36 in a row.
Just got away with that right
Yeah,
there.
Stevie, I was just looking at his numbers. Crow has a 1.8 ERA in AA. And we all know AA is basically where the best players are, not AAA anymore. So, yeah, that's an arm right there. I know he's a starter, but you can always bring that type of arm up in the bullpen if you need it. Guys, give me a second. I'll be right back.
As soon as he turns that hit, that's your go. If he doesn't turn it, you're on freeze mode. But it's the back hit. You're looking at it from that side angle. As soon as the back hit kind of turns towards second base, that's your kind of go-to. You got the green light.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Daniel Vogelbach. There's a throw over from Walker.
There was no lead on that hit. So that's your go-to. You're kind of looking at an angle where you at a spot. I remember playing.
See if Vogelback can do something
You
here.
have to look at that back hit right by that belt.
Good eye. I want to see if the Mets are going to put on a hit and run here.
Does such a good job.
Get the fielders moving a little bit in the infield.
If Lindor has a good jump, doesn't have to be a great jump, just a good jump.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Vogelbach. Lindor not running.
Vogelback hits a shot, but just got under that one too. Hits it 400 feet, but not enough.
Returns to first, 2 away. Time now for a weekly Siri trivia question. Just ask Siri, who is the most Manager of the Year awards in Major League Baseball history? Well, it's a trick question. The guy in the dugout for the Mets has 4.
Once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. Thank you for tuning in. Mets Phillies, game 1 of the series, 4th inning. 2-1 Phillies. Mets have a runner on with 2 outs with Tommy Pham up.
And they went to the World Series. Joe Torre, Joe Cleveland, all good Bochy. Sure.
Yeah, I agree, Easy.
There's some good ones.
Alonso and Vogelback
Walter, part of that
miss
race.
hangers.
At least in terms of regular season success. In the postseason, Buck Showalter has not been able to get over the hump. A lot of people thought maybe last year would be the year. Maybe this year would have been the year. It still can be, but the Mets
Come on, Tommy.
have to rattle off some wins and chunks now that they have fallen behind.
Well, at the very least, we're making Walker work. We're getting 60 pitches in 4 innings with 2 outs.
Get into good hitters.
They're working the counts. They're getting in hitter situations. They're just not getting those hits.
Pitches you want to swing at. A lot of times he likes to see the ball get.
Come on, Tommy.
Try to use the right side of the field. There's a huge hole out there.
Walker's behind him. 3 balls, no strikes.
There you go, Johnny. And Johnny, once again, I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate that.
Oh, he's been swinging such a good bat. You give him the green light right here with 2 outs. Take a chance.
It's another throw over. So Walker's thrown over twice now in this plate appearance.
So Jeff McNeil will be batting.
Extra motivation to go. Counter 3 balls, no strikes on Pham and 2 outs to inning.
That's ball 4.
There's ball 4.
See if Jeff McNeil can get something down here with 2 outs.
Second 2-out chance for Jeff McNeil.
kind of lost that two-seamer a little bit. They're running it in on the right-hander.
Mike, it's possible.
Kind of putting off on it.
But they did lose Gio Urshela, so
What happens a lot of
for the
times,
year.
right, you have people on base that can run. Try to be a little quick to it, kind of put it off a little bit. Usually the remedy for that is just go soft. You go soft to try to get your angles right.
Hey, JT, what's up?
McNeil really
Yeah, I
checking
agree.
up on the bat with 2 outs as he looks at a strike, trying to dump one in here.
A base hit should score
Tie this
Lindor.
game up. Lindor with good speed at second. McNeil chokes up more than most. To win a batting title last year at 326 last season.
Whew.
Sure, those
It's all right, JT.
players not
You're allowed to be a Phillies fan.
for the power that he showed earlier
It's all
in his
right.
career. He's still been good with runners
Yep,
in scoring
KTU,
position this
Escobar was
season.
traded to the Angels for
This
2
one for McNeil
top 20
with a chance to
prospects.
tie the game.
19th and 20th in the Angels system. Get
I
out.
don't think that's where you got to go. That cutter's got to be in play. It's a cutter in with a slow down, split down and away. That's kind of the MO right now. What they're trying to do to McNeil. They're trying to rush him in, slow him down away. So far, back-to-back cutters in. Would you stay in there, or do you go back to that split? It's go-to bread is that split, right? When you need a big strikeout or a big strike, it's the split.
Ground ball, time
Oh.
for Walker again, fielding his
Nice
position.
play by Walker. Mets do not score. That play would have been trouble up the middle. I don't think they would have got it might have not been a base hit, but he might have been able to beat it out. But Walker made a nice play to end the inning. Mets still trail 2-0, 2-1, going to the bottom of the 4. Once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. We got 138 in the stream right now. I appreciate that, guys. So make sure you hit on that like button. Let's get that stream out to more Mets fans and, of course, Philly fans, so we can have fun. That's always interesting when we get those guys in there. Yeah, Andre, I'm sorry. When you win the batting title last year and you're batting 260 this year, that's a 40, 50 point drop in your average. That is huge for a guy who displays no power. And he's batting in the middle of the order, basically 6th. Well, today I think he's batting 6th today. 7th, excuse me. 6th or 7th. So it's like, we need this guy to produce right now. We just have to. G, I'm not doing great because the Mets are losing. Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's Epler's master plan. Let's bring Escobar over there so he can say, Ohtani, go to the Mets. So we're going to the bottom of the 4th. Mets trail by 1. Nimmo gets a solo home run in the 3rd to cut the lead in half. Nimmo dropped the fly ball to start the game. Schwarber hit a pop-up, and that caused a couple of runs, or helped cause a couple of runs for the Phillies in the 1st. The Phillies wasn't really hitting the ball all around here. A blue hit, sac fly, got a couple of runs in, and there you go. Yeah, well, again, I didn't expect you were getting much for Escobar, but that Crow guy, that guy has under 2 ERA in AA, and again, getting 2 top 20 pitching prospects in the system for basically a journeyman veteran who is probably going to play most days of the Angels. That's a pretty good return. So you can't really complain about that. So Heidi Watney is talking to Buck Showalter. Let's see what he has to say.
What's been the difference?
Well, we helped him a little bit in the 1st, but he's been a guy that's made the adjustments not only tonight, but in his whole life and career. You mentioned the challenge of coming over here and pitching, but we're real proud of him. He's handled it well. Everybody pulls for him. Good teammate.
You mentioned, baseball. It's one of those things. Nimmo makes the error in the 1st and then hits that towering home run. How was he able to get to Walker?
Well, if you're
61 pitches for Senga in the 4th.
If you stay true to it, and Nim's one of those consistent personalities who's been raised well. He gets reality. I believe nobody feels worse than him, but he's not going to walk.
Fly ball, nice play by Pham to run in and catch the ball. 1 out.
That's right, catch by Tommy Pham.
Listen up to the game, guys. I'll be right back.
For the first out here at the bottom of the 4th inning. Good to hear from Buck Showalter, the Mets manager. It's been a little different year for Buck and the Mets than what they had last year when they ran through 40 games above 500 last
last season, although an early postseason exit. Maybe they'll try to take a page out of the Phillies book from last year. The Phillies never really took off at any point during the regular season, but they sure did last October.
But it's just crazy to see how much control he's got in the dugout, right, with all his players. He knows every little thing about their players, what he feels, that gets him going, what doesn't. The whole game he's got control of. It's just so awesome to watch and see when you talk to him. Hey, what's going on with this guy? He knows exactly what's going on with that guy. He's just such a baseball legend. You see the career profile there by Buck Showalter. I mean, over 1,600 wins, four-time manager of the year. But what else can you say about the guy? He's just unbelievable. Special.
Brandon Marsh, the batter, with 2 out, nobody on.
You talked earlier about.
Well, gee, one of the announcers is Wayne Randazzo, radio voice for a couple of years with the Mets. So, hey, Prime, what's up?
Today about pitch timer and some of the rule changes this year as Marsh couldn't hold his swing.
So, Senga's looking a lot better.
Pitch timer has been a big subject around Major
Pitch
League
count
Baseball.
is a little high, but
Dissects the
not
rules
as bad
this
as
year.
it could have been after the first inning.
World Championship Gene Bach, the only man above him on that list. There's so much attention to detail, and there are a lot more details to pay attention to this year.
Absolutely. Well, he mentioned them. The pitchers are really going to feel it at the end of the year. They're going to look at themselves and say, whoa. Because that timer has really played a part.
Yeah, Todd, it's on Apple TV.
Stolen base department.
That's, skins down the left field line, and Marsh is going to get a double out of that. So, not really much on that. Beatty was playing a little off the line, and it skims right through the third base side of the line and gets a 2-out double. Oh, C&I double.
He's in scoring position, the number 9 batter for the Phillies, and Mundo Sosa.
All right, got to get out of this inning. 9-hitter, 2 outs.
Senga really hasn't seemed to have a good feel for the ghost fork tonight. He's bounced a lot.
He sure has. And one thing with Mundo Sosa is he likes to swing the bat. I mean, he's got a swing rate of 60%. So all you got to do is throw a good strike-to-ball split. This doesn't have to be perfect. Whether or not you're going to get him to chase.
Well, Jimmy, it's not about speaking early. It's a fact that he's pitched better since the first inning. So,
It's got to be the hair.
It's got to be.
I like how he says, risky.
That's what it would be. He didn't win it. Sosa
popped it up. Let's see if it stays in play. It should. Alonso's under it, and that ends the inning. Senga with another quality inning. Mets coming up in the top of the 5th. 2-1 Phillies. Alvarez, Beatty, Nimmo coming up. 8-9-1 for the Mets. Carl, again, I'm not going to be. You should have said something for opening day. I was in Miami. Shoot, it would have saved me some money on the hotel. You could have let me know, Carl. But yeah, I'll keep in touch with you just in case if the Mets actually have to play a playoff series in Miami. So Senga's looking good since the first inning. Again, look at the first inning, right? He walked a couple of guys, but there wasn't a lot of hard hits. There was an error by Nimmo and a sac fly, right? That was basically how they scored their runs. So far, Senga hasn't really gotten hit hard. They have a couple. They only got 2 hits. And they got 2 runs. So that's, who knows what would have happened if Nimmo caught that ball. Could have still gave up runs later in that inning, but you never know. Yeah, I know, Carl. I think you spoke to me after I came back from Miami. Yeah. Well, I'm going to Boston. If anybody, lives in Boston, hit me up. Because I'm going to Boston in July with the 7 line. So that's going to be interesting. Hopefully the Mets have a pulse, because that's right a week and a half before the All-Star break, and right after it'll be the first week back from the All-Star game. It's the All-Star week, so we'll see. So once again, guys, the game is on Apple TV. That's the only place you can get it. So if you don't have it, hang out here. Obviously, there's a lot of people in the stream right now. So I'm assuming a lot of people don't have it or don't care to listen to Apple TV or watch their terrible broadcasts. So I'm glad you guys are here hanging out with me. And again, at the moment, Walker and Senga are pitching pretty well. Walker did give up a solo home run to Nimmo, but other than that, he's been good. And Senga's been good. So Mets are coming up. Alvarez is leading off. And the Braves just went ahead on an Olsen solo home run. Yep. So a very good game so far in Cincinnati. So see if Alvarez can get it going here for the Mets in the top of the fifth. 2-1 Phillies.
LG Red, thank you very much.
That's loud.
Let's go with LG Red. Tells us about what's going on with the Reds is Francisco
Alvarez has been
off in the fifth against Taiwan Walker.
struggling lately. Got his average back to 232.
Strike on Francisco Alvarez. You were drafted by the Reds.
Yes, SNY. We already talked about that, but thank you. I think it's the 21st to the 23rd in July.
Alvarez fouls one off.
Yeah, I got drafted, Wayne. I thought they were going to build a monument out of me. Let's see, I played 30 games with the Reds and I got traded.
There's a lot of bronze in front of Great American Ballpark. None of you, though.
I don't know what happened. You missed out. Got traded to San Diego. It was incredible.
Good eye by Alvarez.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Worst places to go from Cincinnati to San Diego.
So we played a little over an hour, and we're in the 5th inning already.
That trade, I go where? San Diego.
Pitch clock baseball, guys.
Miami. Then I go to
No.
San Diego. I loved everything about
Otani's not getting traded, guys.
Tacos, let's go.
And Alvarez strikes out on a splitter.
Walker frees him up with a cutter.
That's a good cut right there.
4th strikeout for Walker tonight.
That's a pitch Alvarez would cover earlier a couple of weeks ago, but he's struggling right now. Oh, that's a cement mixing slider right there. That's a pitch he should be killing. Well, Todd, for a guy like Escobar who wasn't playing, that's a pretty good return. One of those pitches are pitching to a 1.8 ERA in Double A.
None on the current Mets roster have won 7.
Dominic, it has nothing to do with the Mets. Every team this year gets to play on Apple TV. This is Major League Baseball. This is not Steve Cohen. He has nothing to do with this. Beatty pops it up. Should be 2 outs.
Sosa makes the catch for the second out.
He's been in control.
Carl, I don't remember the hotel, but I'm staying. We're gonna be staying around the Fenway Park area. It's not gonna be far. If it's like 5 minutes away, maybe 10 minutes away, it's not much further than that. All right, Brandon Nimmo up. The only offense for the day for the Mets. See if he can hit another one.
See right there with the cutter. Be more cutters. Kind of make an adjustment, right? Because that's what Walker does. I remember when I would face him, man, every at bat was different. He would make adjustments. It always felt like he was 2 steps ahead. It's a rare changeup right there. Venmo was trying to get all that information.
I think there's a Marriott, Carl. I think it's probably like 5 blocks away from Fenway, but I could be wrong. Ground ball. See if and that ball's gonna go foul.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Nimmo, who is responsible for the only Mets run. Statcast powered by Google Cloud. A 405-foot homer for Nimmo, the first home run he's hit off a splitter this year.
That ball was absolutely super out of here. As soon as it left his bat, it was absolutely gone. Well,
I do like how they show that 3D with MLB Game Day. It's pretty cool.
Once in a while, I'll run into one.
We all start 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah. Well, just think of it this way. As long as you see, the Yankees made a deal with Amazon Prime, so that's something that the Yankees took the money for Amazon Prime to put their games on Amazon on Fridays. So just imagine that. I mean, I think the Yankees in 1 week had ESPN, Apple Plus, and Amazon Prime. So that's rough.
For many years ahead, this is the first of an 8-year contract for Brandon Nimmo.
Well earned.
was $162 million.
And Nimmo strikes out, and that is the top of the fifth. Excuse me. So bottom of the fifth, Mets trail by 1 still. Senga's coming back out on the mound. So technically a pitcher's duel. Good pitchers pitching right now, looking good. Well, LRF, yeah, I understand that part though, but it is the NFL. This is baseball who is complaining about the casual fan. I'm sorry, you're not going to get casual fans where they can't find a freaking game. You know, I honestly knew the game because I'm a Mets fan. I knew that game was going to be on Apple TV today, right? But it's annoying, you know, like not everybody has Apple TV, not everybody has Amazon. Right? Yankee fans complain about it on WFAN every day when they can't get the games on because it's on Amazon Prime. I mean, just because most people might have Amazon Prime doesn't mean everybody does. And as you know, the Yankee fans, a lot of them are older. They're not going to have these subscriptions. So it's not as easy as people think. And, you know, with money scarce nowadays, people don't want to spend $10 on a streaming service. Todd? You see the problem with this is why I get mad about Mets fans, right? People couldn't wait to get rid of Escobar for Beatty. Beatty's playing every day, and now we care about trading Escobar. I'm sorry, you don't pass up a deal when you can get 2 arms in your farm system for a guy who plays once a week. Who cares if it's during mid-game? The Mets almost traded, you know, Wilmer Flores mid-game for Carlos Gomez with Zach Wheeler, even though Wheeler wasn't in the dugout because he was going through Tommy John. So it's a business. It happens. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. People need to get over it. Now, I think if people are mad because that puts you behind an 8 ball with roster moves because now you're only playing with 24 players and, you know, on your bench. But again, bench players – with a DH now, you're not making 2 or 3 moves. So you're not switching, you're not, you know, double switching, pitch hitting for a pitcher and stuff like that. Well, Carl, they paid their salary to get better prospects. So, well, explosive, maybe that just shows you that Moreno wants to win with Ohtani this year. That's what he's doing. All right, top of the order for the Phillies. 2-1 Phillies, bottom 5.
There's one right to you. You got to make a play. You're on TV.
Speaking of the modes, though, did you tell your outfielders prior to the game, hey, guys?
LRF, not really, because the Corbin move makes more sense than that stupid MLB Network Ohtani trade for the Mets. So... well, again, that is the typical Mets fan, that the same Mets fans that were complaining that Escobar was playing and Beatty wasn't. Strike 3, nice pitch. Good pitch. Yeah, it's a very nice pickup for the Angels. You know what? For all we know, Billy Epler called up the Angels saying, hey, Gio Urshela's out for the year. Do you want Escobar? We'll pay for his salary, but we want some prospects back. Yeah, exactly, Stevie. So that's what I don't understand. Like, these people are so in the moment where Escobar wasn't helping his team. Again, he was better as a part-time player, but he wasn't helping his team. Consuelo, no. I think it's going to be Mauricio that might get the next call-up. I think that's going to be a possibility. Ooh, nice pitch. Senga's feeling that fork pitch now. Jeez, Reds and Braves going back and forth, man. That's a great game. Even though we need the Braves to win. Even though not really. The Reds can win because they're winning the Central right now. Woo! 97 to the face. Come on, Kodak. Fly ball should be catchable, and Pham catches it to us.
Who last year Paco in the postseason Castellanos is diving around, making great play after great play. He was really a defensive star at times in the postseason as you guys went to the World Series. How much work, how many things were put into making Castellanos that kind of defensive player after what had been already a
Well, the Reds are hot right now. Let's see when they come back down the earth. Can they still play well? Everybody looks like the best team in baseball when they go through a hot stretch. You know, no team is like their hot streak. That's what we have to pay attention to. Just because they have a hot streak of a 15-game stretch doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden a good team. I mean, did the Oakland A's, when they went 7-3 in their 10 games with a 7-game winning streak, were they a good team? No. They're playing well right now. But once they come back down to earth, which they probably will, I'm not saying they're not going to be good, but let's see where they are when they come back down to earth. The same way the Pittsburgh Pirates were the Reds a month ago. Right? And now Pittsburgh is back down to earth. They're still still around the playoff spot, but they're still far away from that.
Kind of the whole point of talking to the first base coach is that somebody reaches first base, we can listen in. So 2 up, 2 down.
You know, once the league gets to know these young guys, it's up to the young guys to adjust to that, and that's when you see if they're going to be a legitimate team for the rest of it. And as a base hit for Castellanos, 2 out, 2 strikes, base hit. Andre, yeah, that's true. But again, that doesn't mean this is what the Reds are. Again, everybody's looking at that one set. So what about the other 65 games that they played? That doesn't matter? So I'll see if Senga has 82 pitches in the 5th. So his pitch count's a little high. But if he gets out of this inning here, getting into the 6th with under 85 pitches, but we'll see. It's a big 2-out hit by Castellanos here because Harper comes up. Majib, I'm good. Oh, Senga can't leave that pitch up like that. That's a pitch Harper crushes. He got lucky there. Yeah, exactly, Grant. That's a better pitch. A little bit letter high. Good pitch.
Good read.
Yeah, imagine, Grant.
So you got to get a good shuffle. Good lead to a good shuffle.
These microphones on coaches and players, so annoying. And he strikes him out on a fastball on the outside corner, and that ends the bottom of the 5th. So the New York Mets still trail 2-1, going to the top of the 6th. Again, this umpire has been giving Walker and Senga the outside and inside corner, a little off the plate and a little inside of the plate. So he's been consistent with that for both sides. So you can't really – I know the batters are complaining, but he's been consistent. So Mets are going in the top of the 6th. The Mets will have Marte, Lindor, and Alonso down by 1 going to the top of the 6th. So obviously both teams are having a little bit of problems getting a couple of hits together. There's only been 6 hits in the ball game so far, 3 apiece. The Mets had a couple of opportunities. Well, at least last inning they had some men on. They had a man on base, but they need to get it going here. You got 2, 3, 4 up. Let's go. Well, Grant, exactly. Consistent but off. But again, right? Don't hitters always talk about they rather have a consistent strike zone than something that they don't know pitch by pitch, batter by batter? Like I said, he's been calling that inside and outside off the plate all game. So batters, yeah, you're going to be frustrated because it's not a strike, but he's been calling that all game. So what are you going to do? Deal with it. That's the way I see it. I mean, if you played in high school and college, umpires were probably 100 times worse than Major League Baseball umpires. I mean, I'll never forget in high school in a playoff game, I got struck out by a curveball that basically hit the ground and barely went. It didn't even go over the plate. Didn't even go over my knees, and I got called out on strikes on a curveball that it basically bounced just before the plate, and they called it. I never forget that. I looked at my coach and I'm like, "What am I supposed to do? Argue? Like, there's nothing to do there." But this is what you get. And, everybody wants robot umps until the robot umps call your batter out, and then you're going to complain about it. The human element is still a thing. So that's something that you have to think about when everybody just wants robo umps. Because the robo umps are going to have one strike zone and one strike zone only. And you're still going to complain about it when it doesn't go your way. So it's just something to complain about. Fans like to complain more than they like to cheer. So they're showing highlights of Taiwan Walker's pitches today.
Cutter with that good split.
And he looks good. Marte is up. 2-1 Phils, top of the 6th.
He's been good. He's been good lately. Over the last 4 starts now, Walker has been excellent. Marte gets one toward left center. Marsh got a good shot. Closes quickly.
Marsh is just a vacuum in center field. 1 out. Playing that left field gap.
Take a look at that pitching decision, though. Once again, it was that started him off with that split, and then went to that back-to-back cutter. I think that was the pitch right there. That foul pitch cutter was the pitch, and then ended with that good splitter. Taiwan Walker can feel his position, but for me, it was those back-to-back cutters.
All right, Lindor's up at 1 out.
And just freezing McNeil. He had nowhere to go after that.
1 out here is Francisco Lindor. And a base hit his last time as he takes ball 1 from Walker.
82 pitches for Walker, around where Senga was in the bottom of the 5th.
Heavy cutter.
Ooh, Lindor missed the hanger there. Walker's been getting away with a lot of pitches. A couple of hangers that Mets didn't hit.
That was right after the Mets beat him up on June 1st at Citi Field. Just 1 run in 8 innings his last start.
Nice splitter.
From Lindor on the splitter.
That was the pitch that Walker figured out last year, that he threw well last year, and he has a good splitter today.
2015. Can do that if he earns a victory tonight. He's in line for 1. Still a long way to go in a close game here at Citizens Bank Park.
Lindor hits one to left field. Schwarber makes the catch. 2 outs.
Defensively this year, but nice play running back from that ball.
Paco Figueroa earlier in the inning said we take those things personal. Mr. Kyle Schwarber right there taking that personal, going back. A really good jump right there. I would see Marsh and we see Schwarber take really good routes.
Well, a couple of hard hit balls. Caught.
That's a good play right there. Tough play. A ball more than not is sailing away from you. Turn the right way.
Alonso up for 2 outs.
Nice strike to beat Alonso. Schwarber with -16 defensive runs saved. That is the worst defensive run save total in the major leagues. Another strike from Taiwan Walker. Peppers in a couple to get ahead of Alonso. No matter the metric, outs above average, defensive run save. Schwarber is at the bottom of those lists. Really changes the way you look at the Phillies defense overall. Because if you take his numbers out, the Phillies are at least an average defensive team, if not even a little bit above average. Schwarber weighs down the rest, considering how his numbers have looked defensively this year. Dropped the ball yesterday. That ended up being costly. Walker was ready to walk off the mound.
That umpire was calling that strike all night, just missed it.
That was a little teaser right there. Wanting that pitch. Little two-seamer down the way.
Nice pitch, unhittable pitch.
Was trying to give it everything he's had right there.
Ball 3, now full count on Alonso with Daniel Vogelbach on deck.
I would think with 90 pitches right here, depending on what happens in the next inning, you got to throw your best pitch right here. It's got to be your best one. Got to be careful with Pete Alonso, but got to die with your split if I was him.
3-2, Luke to left. Schwarber comes in. He's got this one as well.
And 3 balls hit hard, but 3 balls hit right at outfielders for the Mets. Bottom of the 6th coming up. 2-1 Phillies. 6 hits in the ball game for both. 3 hits apiece. Mets still trail by 1. Senga's coming out on the mound. Walker will probably come back out for the 7th, 90 pitches. So we will see what Senga can do in the 6th. Hopefully put up another 0 and give the Mets an opportunity to try to come back in this ball game. Again, we know the record with the Mets when a pitcher goes 6 innings or more. Again, see if that happens again, but offense has been, we scored 21 runs in Houston, 11-8 in game 1 and game 3. Obviously, game 2, we scored 2, and right now we have 1. So, yeah, committee, I can care less about All-Star. Honestly, let all the Mets stay home and rest up. Because at that moment, who the hell knows? So, by that time, Lindor can be our only All-Star, and it might be deserving, but nobody deserves it on this team, to be honest. So, but what are you going to do, right? But we got 16 games before the All-Star break. The Mets play 16 games against teams that are in front of them. Either team, besides the Diamondbacks, every other team is in front of them in the wild card. So they got an opportunity here to make some noise and get within relevancy of the wild card spot. But it's going to take a good stretch here. Again, you can't have an 8-8, 16-game stretch. You can't even have a 9-7. You need something 10 or better. And that's something that's not going to be easy, the way this team has been playing. You get the pitching, you don't get the offense. You get the offense, you don't get the pitching. The first game in Houston was the first time we got pitching and offense and everything worked out together. So I don't know what to tell you guys, except pray this team turns it around, because it's going to be a long summer, everybody. I don't want to be going to Boston in July after the All-Star break, and this team basically has no chance of making the playoffs. That's not going to be fun. We had enough years of that crap. So the New York Mets are in the bottom of the 6th. Phillies lead by 1, 2-1 is the score. And Senga's still on the mound. Let's see what he can do here. Real Muto up.
To build these seats across from the ballpark, so that's an O there. We also have the bullpen that you can look over. You know how much fun I had at T-Mobile Park last week with that. You can walk here into the visiting bullpen and the home bullpen. And the great thing about this concourse, you can walk the entire thing. You can see the field the entire time. You don't miss a thing. You can get some great food. It's a lot of fun down here, Wayne.
I bet it is. You got to go to Chicky and Pete's, too.
Yeah, I hear their fries are really good. The Old Bay seasoning fries.
That's right. There it is, Chickies and Pete's here at Citizens Bank Park. All the good Philly eats. Do you have a cheesesteak today, Albert?
I have not.
All right, better get one.
Tomorrow I will.
1 ball, 2 strikes on JT.
I will say, best cheesesteaks in Philly are in the visiting clubhouse.
Really? Here,
I'm just going to throw it out there.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, just going to throw it out there. Guys go for world records in a series. Guys have eaten 30 to 40 cheesesteaks in 3 days.
And another strikeout for Senga.
Pretty sure Eric Langell of
Nice to see.
Mets bullpen catching tandem was one of those guys who ate a whole lot of cheesesteaks in the weekend here in Philadelphia. There's the ghost form that JT Realmuto tried to eat.
Yeah, right. That's nasty football right there. Not much you can do with it. Out in front, completely full.
Seems like the last 2 innings, Senga has found that football.
Sure has.
Here's Bryson Stott.
Nice.
It was a curve that bounced from Senga, stopped, and sacrifice fly in the first. Phillies got 2 runs in the first, one of them unearned thanks to the Nimmo error. They've only managed 3 hits all night. Just one in that first inning. The blue base hit by Harper that scored a run. Ball 1 strike on Bryson Stott, a rookie last year.
You look at Senga and you look at his start. It's been a very good start. It's just been completely played out by Taijuan Walker. How good it's been for him. But I mean, Senga has really kept this Phillies offense at bay. Not many hard hit balls. Other than that, I mean, see that it's going to hurt for a good 8 seconds, man.
94 pitches for Senga in the bottom of the 6th, 1 out. A foul ball right off his foot from Stott. There's definitely going to be Senga's last inning.
Single in the 5th inning. Those are the 3 hits for the Phillies.
Probably been the hardest hit, Castellanos. Other than that, I mean, he's been marvelous.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Stott. Well, Senga was looking forward to facing the Phillies. He was asked in his introductory press conference who he was looking forward to facing, and the only thing he said in English was the Phillies lineup.
We told Buck that. He said, no. He did not say it like that.
Yeah, but Buck wasn't having it.
He was not having it.
3-2 on Bryson Stott.
Said, Buck, that's what we read. I mean,
He's following us now. We're
all right, I've had enough of you guys.
We'll count on Stott. One thing Buck said about Senga is that he intends to pitch him on regular rest for his next start. Stott fouls one off. There's only been 1 start this season for Senga. It was his worst start against the Blue Jays, where he pitched on 4 days rest. But that's something that Senga wants to start doing more of as he gets acclimated to baseball here in the U.S.
I don't think more teams in the big leagues are going to go with a 6-man rotation in the future. Just with the pitch clock and everything that's happening in today's game.
Stott looks one toward left center field. Tommy Pham tries to get it off. He does. It's not a big turnaround first, but it's
Nice play by Tommy to keep that to a single. So 98 pitches. Is this going to be the last batter Senga face? Or is Senga going to get another batter here? Bottom of the order. Bohm coming up.
Look how he cuts this to a force stop and taking a huge turn and going to second. Cuts it off completely right there. That's a good angle. Any other outfielder, that would have been to the wall right there. See, he's digging it. He's smelling. I'm going too. He knows Pham doesn't have that great of an arm, but he's got to hold up the angle that Pham took. He just can't do anything about it but just stay at first base. Senga knows he got away with that split right there. That nigga could be a much better split count in the zone.
Senga there at 100 pitches. Jeremy Hefner is on the mound, the Mets pitching coach.
Hefner is on the mound talking to Senga. There's 1 on, 1 out, 2-1 Phillies, bottom of the 6th. Once again, guys, take a minute to hit on that like button if you haven't already.
Both of those first inning runs ended up being unearned.
Josh Walker warming up in the bullpen for the Mets. Lefty for the Mets.
We know with Senga, especially deep into the game, he relies heavily on the split and the 2-seamer. Really needs a ground ball. He's not really looking for a strikeout. He's looking for soft contact and early in the at-bat.
Here's how the ball bounced out to Senga last time. Runner goes. Alvarez throws to second.
And he steals second.
McNeil got his glove on it, and McNeil was slid into by Bryson.
And McNeil got jammed with his wrist. McNeil is on the ground right now. Let's see if he's okay.
I mean, he got caught in between right there with his wrist. Very dangerous play because that throw was kind of going towards the runner. More than not, a lot of time you see not a good result by the defender. That's a good jump right there by Stott.
No real contact between Stott and McNeil. Some contact on the foot, actually. So I don't know if that caused the pain for McNeil as you see the glove and the foot making contact.
Jammed his wrist or maybe his hand somewhere.
He's being looked at by Joe Golia, one of the Mets trainers.
A lot of times you cover that.
Lindor looking like he's okay, going to stay up there. So Stott steals second base, 1 out, and Alec Bohm is at the plate with a 1-0 count.
Tough play all around. Ouch.
It's a stolen base for Bryson Stott. Phillies have a man in scoring position here with 1 out.
You're on a bomb. You want to get something up in the zone. Your go-tos are up in the zone.
That one bounced in by Senga. That's 2 balls, no strikes. 12th steal for Stott. Second most of the Phillies behind Trey Turner's 13.
What an absolute stop by Alvarez right there.
The committee's pitched well for the last few starts for sure.
Base on a pass ball with 1 out.
Well, I was a little shocked Mark Cannon wasn't playing either.
How soft he stays with this. Using the mitt, using your gear.
Oh, Kodai, let's go.
Strike on the inside corner of Bohm, who's always been good with runners in scoring position.
Well,
Over 300 in his career.
NYG fan, listen. Would you want the bullpen to come in? Or would you want Senga, who's pitched well?
Grounds this ball up the middle. Lindor diving stop. Gets up, looks around.
So Lindor stops it from getting to center field. First and third, 1 out. So nice play by Lindor to keep it in the infield. That would have scored a run if it got through.
Those are the little things, Lindor. You won't see those things in the box score, but that's a saving run right there.
All right, Senga's coming out of the game.
That's a base hit all around with an RBI. Lindor took it away. Doesn't get it out. There's trouble on the bases, but you can't get out of it.
Yeah, it's not like the Senga's, giving up big hits here. Stott gave up some. Senga's coming out of the game. Josh Walker's coming in, and he's coming in for Brandon Marsh, who is a lefty speedster. Going to be tough to double up, but Walker has been pretty decent for the Mets since his call-up. Jimmy, why Walker? Because Brandon Marsh is a lefty, and Walker's a lefty. That's the reason why. It's a good matchup. Again, that doesn't mean nothing, but again, now everybody wants Dominic Leone and Jeff Brigham. Like, people couldn't wait to get rid of them. And Walker is more of a ground ball type of pitcher. He has a hard sinker, so you're trying to get a ground ball for a double play there to end the inning. So the Mets are in a little bit of a jam here. Kodai Senga, those 2 runners are his. If bad things happen for the Mets, will be counted to him, but it's still 2-1 Phillies. Bottom of the 6th, the Phillies have first and third with 1 out, and Josh Walker coming on the mound to face Brandon Marsh. Kodai Senga had a good outing. I mean, those runs in the first probably might have not happened if it wasn't the start in the first with the error by Nimmo with the pop-up. But it was a good outing. He gave up a couple of hits. That Stott hit was the only one that was actually hit hard if you look at the game. So, well, Jimmy, I know you're one of the most negative Met fans, so I mean, you want Leone over Walker, and Brigham, who, let's be honest, come on. Like, you got to go with a lefty-lefty here. You have to go with a lefty-lefty. You got the bottom of the order up. You're in the 6th inning. Walker has pitched well for the Mets. He's a guy that, again, he throws a hard sinker. He's a guy that has strikeout potential. So, and you need a ground ball here to try to get up a double play. So that's what I think you got to do. So let's see what Walker can do. See if he can get out of this inning here and not giving up any runs. Here we go.
In the Phillies uniform, of course, Zach Wheeler, currently the ace of the Phillies staff, a former Met. This is tonight's starting pitcher for the Phillies, Taiwan Walker. There's Kodai Senga. No earned runs allowed, at least not yet. Man on first and third would be his responsibility. So he leaves the game. New pitcher.
Well, Jimmy, you don't know what you're talking about then. Because Brigham is not better than Walker. Brigham's been good, but you're facing a lefty here, and you need a ground ball. And Walker has a 1.59 ERA, so he's been good. Well, they're trying to bunt, and teams have been doing this with the Mets lately, safety squeezes, so got to be watching out for that. And the pitch was high, and it fouled off of Marsh's hand, bat, excuse me.
I think if you're Marsh, you got to sit up in the zone, thinking fastball, adjusting off the off speed. Safety squeeze could still be in play.
The punt there as it's ball one from Walker, who is from upstate New York, went to Minnesota Valley High School. Former Met Dave Telgater is actually the assistant principal at that school.
All right, Jimmy, but that has nothing to do with today's game. You're telling me Brigham is going to be better than Josh Walker when Brigham can come in and give up a 3-run homer just like Walker can. So.
Balls in a strike. Mundo Sosa, right-handed batter on deck. Then it's the lefty Schwarber. Jeff Brigham getting loose now.
There you go, Jimmy. Brigham's warming up. There you go. Well, Walker has been high with all his pitches. That's not a good sign.
Uncorked throw. At least scared. Stop back to the batting at third. Now Walker's behind Marsh. 3 balls and a strike.
You're Marsh right here. You're sitting dead red. It's like a 3-0 count, and it's a wheelhouse. If it's not in that one spot, you got to take.
Popped it up.
Shallow left field. Tommy Pham
It's
comes in.
Lindor has it, and it's Jesus Christ.
And the Phillies get another get from the Mets.
Another pop up. I don't know what Lindor heard, but Lindor was under it.
There's just no communication right there right at the last second.
Wow.
Fan was looking at Lindor.
Well, you can't blame Josh Walker there, right?
I thought all the way Lindor had this.
How can that happen? These are veteran players. Lindor is a long time, very good defensive shortstop. Tommy Pham has played the outfield a long time in the major leagues. How can that kind of
That can't happen with veteran guys. Can't happen. Not in that situation. Walker made a good pitch. Would have been 2 outs with first and third.
It happens in situations like this. Big moments in the game. You're still not out of it, though. 1 out, first and second, with a rookie on the mound.
Walker throws a good pitch.
Gave Marsh a base hit and an RBI to score stop. Now look at the left field. Tommy Pham comes in for this one and makes the catch on Sosa. As it begins to rain.
Should have been out of the inning.
Park, and the fans are scurrying for cover. It rained all day here in Philadelphia. It really just cleared up about an hour before game time. We were surprised the game started on time, and it rained so much this afternoon. They did start on time.
No, Michael. Nobody touched it. Lindor was there. Tommy Pham was going to get it, and Pham was just there thinking Lindor was going to get it. That was a lack of communication there. Clearly. What's up? The rain's coming out hard in Philadelphia.
The crowd filled in. It was a late arriving crowd. I guess waiting to see if it would be played or not.
So I'm assuming after this inning is over, the tarp's going to come on the field.
They've gotten a lot of good crowds at Citizens Bank Park this year. As you'd expect coming off
Well,
the pennant-winning season.
2 defensive mistakes gave 3 runs to the Phillies. So
Then they signed Trey Turner, and then they went way up.
2 big errors that led to 3 Phillies runs.
This fan base coming off the pennant. Bringing a guy like Turner and Taiwan Walker.
Oh,
That's the dock, and that's part of the fear with baseball is that pitchers who maybe have trouble gripping the ball already will have even lesser grip now.
Yeah, I agree. It's been everybody. That's what I'm saying. Like Lindor needs to catch that ball. Like that was his ball the whole way, and all of a sudden he didn't call it. I don't know what he was doing there. You know, usually Lindor takes control in those situations, so that's on Lindor right there. That's not on Tommy Pham.
Rob Thompson talked about what it means to play the same divisional team. It counts like 2 wins, right? They get away with this win right here on 2 fly balls who miscommunicated.
Walker might be asking for a towel.
Yeah.
So they're giving a towel to Walker.
It's Doug Innings, the third base coach, or third base umpire, I should say. He's also the crew chief. Quick clarification there with
No, Johnny, he just didn't call it. He thought he wasn't really thinking right there. He just, I don't know.
Next pitch is going to keep that towel behind the mound. It's looking to get wet back there.
Does this count? Does it?
I think so.
This is great.
He's trying to count that positive back into the towel. Looks like the Mets.
Here's Schwarber right here. You're looking that red.
Yeah, exactly, Jen. I even said it. I don't like Lindor is under it, and then he wasn't. So
Balls and no strikes on Schwarber. Good breaking.
Oh, where was that pitch?
Now it's 3-0. We'll wrap stuff up behind the mound in the towel. You put anything back there. Your pretzels and where is that?
Cheesesteak?
Yeah, it's a whole cheesesteak. Why not? 3 balls, no strikes. And there's
all 4. So Walker's been a little wild, but and Walker's coming out of the ball game. Jeff Bringham's coming in, so Walker should have been out of the inning. Got 2 fly balls, and now he's out of the game, and Bringham's coming in. So Lindor, you saw Lindor put his hand on Walker's shoulder, saying sorry because Lindor clearly know it was his fault, and that's another way to not win ball games. Well, Jay, what happened, right? They're making mistakes that they did not make last year. Very simple. It's meant. These are mental errors. These are not talent. That's why they're not playing well. Lindor was under it, then wasn't under it, and Pham was going to get it. Look, 3 runs for the Phillies today. All of them scored because of an error. All right, Jimmy. Jimmy, I'll talk to you later. You got to go. Bye. Come on. Don't make stupid comments and think you're going to get away with it on this channel. Come on, guys. DFA Lindor. Yeah, because that is the most – that's even worse than when you said Brigham coming in. Come on. Guys, don't make irrational comments and think that they make sense and stick around. Michael, I don't know. I don't know. Like, you got 2 veterans out there in Pham and Lindor. And, whatever the reason is, clearly the Mets can't figure it out. So, and if they don't believe it's the managers or the coaches and the players need, and listen, it's obvious that the talent on this Mets team, especially these mistakes in the field, they shouldn't happen to guys like Nimmo and Lindor, who are veteran players. Lindor is one of the better defensive players in the league, and Nimmo has become a really good to great center fielder. So look, the Phillies shouldn't have no runs in this game. If it wasn't for the errors, they would have no runs. Hey, Travis, how you doing? Looking like it's going to be a long summer, Travis. Oh, Lord. Guys, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. So It's 3-1 Phillies. The Mets can't catch a fly ball. And now the Mets are trying to get out of an inning with just only 1 run given up and pray that the offense finds. So they're doing new rosin bags right now because of the rain. Jeff Bringham's in the game. And that's where we are. No, Michael, I agree with you. Like I said, somebody has to be to blame at this point, right? Is it going to be the pitching coach at some point, Hefner? And Buck, again, fire him. If you think they should fire him. I mean, I don't think that's going to change anything. I think the players are just mentally soft, and that has nothing to do with Buck Showalter because they shown when they got hit in the mouth last year, they didn't recover. All right, so Trey Turner is up. Bases are loaded. See if Brigham can get out of it without giving up any runs.
Been in April and May, trying to find his footing as a Philly. Takes a strike from Brigham.
In the situation right now, too, for the base runners, you got to go all out. Why? It's because the baseball, if there is a ground ball, you got really good speed all over the place. The ball gets wet. Anything rush right now is a really hard play.
Ball 1 strike on Turner.
As a first baseman, the worst situation was when it was raining and it stopped raining. All of a sudden, the grass is very fast. The dirt changes. Infielders do not like it.
The rain has pretty much stopped. The Browns crew out during the pitching change, talking to Doug Eddings, the crew chief, about the weather. Apparently they have a good report that it would clear up quickly. It already has pretty much stopped raining. Raining just lightly now. 2 balls and a strike on Trey Turner.
Nice pitch. 2-2.
For strike 2.
Committee, it's not about being field generals. It's I got it, and that's it. That's not a field general. It's common sense. Hold the ball. That's it. They didn't do that in that situation. Both of them, well, mostly Lindor was in between there. It was Lindor's ball all the way.
Stop the bleeding for New York. Turner went to his
Well, you want to bring him in, you got him. No, Michael, it's Apple TV. Well, error is killed. Mets should have been out of the inning with no runs. Mistakes will kill you.
Absolutely turned on that. Look how short he stays with a 2-strike approach. Not that much leg kick. Absolute rocket fan. He had no shot. 2 strikes to us. Those runners are going to be moving.
There's been some frustration that Turner had not gotten off to a great start. Terrific pedigree. Was excellent at the World Baseball Classic for Team USA. That is one tremendous player.
And that disaster of an inning is over, but not before. The Phillies get 3 runs because an unfortunate, terrible error by Lindor. That inning should have been ended with no runs because that was a pop-up that should have gave 2 outs, and then the next batter hit a fly ball to left field. You give him extra outs. I don't care if the team's good or bad. You seen it in the Cardinals series, you seen it in the Pittsburgh series. You can't keep on giving them extra outs, and that's what you fall into there. Again, this team is a replica of the Philadelphia Phillies last year. Christopher, no. If that's the case, then this team needs to just go away. If this is on purpose, I don't see why it would be on purpose, but no. But this is I swear a microcosm of what the Phillies were last year defensively. I was at the game in August when the Phillies when Alec Boehm couldn't throw the ball to first base, throwing the ball all over the place, couldn't catch a ball. Schwarber missed a fly ball twice in the outfield in that game. It's a carbon copy of the Philadelphia Phillies defense last year, what the Mets are doing this year. Andre, it might be. And again, the Mets won a lot of those games against the Phillies by defensive mistakes by the Phillies. And the Mets, I don't care if it's the worst team in baseball. You give team extra outs, 9 out of 10 times you're going to pay. So, Josh Walker got 2 fly balls, and it led to 3 runs. What are you going to do? You blame Lindor and you blame Nimmo in that spot. That's it. It's very simple. I don't know, Jay. I don't know. Okay, Jimmy, but it's not being negative that is the problem. It's just that you say DFA Lindor, which is the stupidest comment on this channel, and you got to go away. Go to a Phillies channel. You seem like you're a Phillies fan. You never talk anything. Last year you complained about the Mets. It's stupid. Gregory Soto is in the game for the Phillies, 5-1 Phillies.
4.71 ERA. He is as nasty as it gets. Not a fun matchup at all against left-handers. Lefties only hitting.
Well, there's not much to sell. You got to sell a lot of the guys that are out of contract. David Robinson, Canna, guys like that.
Quarterback gets a piece and makes it no balls and 2 strikes. Soto acquired in the offseason from Detroit along with Casey Clemens in a trade that sent Nick Maton and Matt Vierling to the Tigers. Quarterback couldn't hold up. That's strike 3. Soto strikes out the first batter.
1 out.
Let's find out the answer to our Siri trivia question. Who has the most Manager of the Year awards in Major League history? And 4, Buck Showalter is tied for the most with Bobby Cox and Tony La Russa.
Talk about Gregory Soto. What he brings to the table. That's a little quick pitch right there. But more than not, when left-handed hitter, when lefties are pitching on the third base side of the mound, more than not, they got a really good 2-seamer with a really good slider, wipeout slider stuff, especially for the right-handers. More than not, when they're on the first base side, it's a little harder, more deceptive to the lefties. Mr. Gregory Soto can get lefties and righties out. His stuff is plus. It's got a plus sinker and a plus slider. He can throw them at any count. Kind of crossfire at times too. Could be the reason why he's on the third base side. Usually if you're on the first base side of the mound and you're a crossfire, you're going to miss a lot up and away.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Pham. The Mets have only managed 3 hits tonight. Alonso doubled in the second, Emmons homer in the third. Lindor singled in the fourth. Provides Taiwan Walker very sharp in line for his 4th straight win.
Labe, I just thought that as well.
Phillies bullpen trying to hold it. They've got a 4-run cushion. Soto missing with a high fastball to Pham.
Christopher, a lot of people are talking about that. It's possible.
Another lefty on deck.
I mean, we'll never know, and we'll probably never find out about that. But
Strike 3 call. Fastball 97.
but 2 strikeouts in a row for Soto.
The first 2 here in the 7th.
That's 97, 98. Completely frozen. The last thing you're thinking about if you're a fan is anything in or third. You got to protect on the backdoor slider. You got to protect on the fastball up in the zone. But when you down a fastball at 97 miles an hour down an inning like that, is pretty much unhittable. No chance.
Mino dumps 1 foul. He's 0 for 2 tonight.
That's a good sign.
Brooks Raley warming up in the bullpen.
Get ahead on both of the lefties that you face, Rotobuck and McNeil. You got windows now. You can go sweeper, slider, fastballs up in the zone.
On the outside corner.
And McNeil strikes out to end the top of the seventh. 5-1 Phillies going to the bottom of the seventh. Again, guys, you ain't going to win ball games if you beat yourself. 5 runs scored by the Phillies, all on errors. The 2 big errors of the game basically gave the Phillies opportunities to continue to score runs. And you can't do that. You're not going to win ball games like that. Andre, I don't know. They just gave him a contract. I mean, I wasn't a big proponent of not trading McNeil when they should have traded McNeil. This is the situation when I tell people last year at the deadline that you got to stop worrying about the future, and when you get an opportunity like the Mets had last year to get better, and you didn't at the deadline, you end up with a year like this because the future is here, right? 2023, right? Everybody's like, don't trade your prospects. Don't trade your prospects. Well, the second best year in Mets history, record-wise, you did basically nothing at the deadline, and now you're complaining about 2023. Why are you complaining about 2023, right? You cared about the future. Well, you got the future. You never half-ass a season when you're a team in your history where you haven't made the playoffs 3 years in a row in your team history. It's just that simple. So for everybody who wants to be a prospect hugger and didn't want to better the team, where last year's team had a chance to do something special and you didn't, well, now you're going to get the Ronnie Mauricios up and the Brett Beatties and the Alvarez, and you're going to lose. And that's what you want, right? That's what I heard on Twitter for 2 months now. Bring up the kids and lose. So I'd rather have the kids up and lose. That's what I was told from people. Well, I don't want to hear no complaining when we're still losing and the kids are up. Because Brett Beatty and Francisco Alvarez changed nothing for this team, right? We got better offense from catcher and third base than we did ever last year, but this team won 101 games last year. So what is it? Like, you can't have it both ways, right? The same people who says, oh, I'd rather have the kids up and lose. No, you wouldn't, because you'd be bitching about the kids. Jay, it's not the point. The point of the matter is we don't know because they didn't do it. That's the problem. That is the problem. Just because Josh Bell wasn't good with the Padres doesn't mean he wouldn't have been good with the Mets. Just because JD Martinez didn't play well in the second half for the Red Sox, who didn't get traded, doesn't mean he wouldn't have played better for the Mets. That's where people don't understand. Just because somebody didn't work out for one team doesn't mean it didn't work out for the other, right? Escobar sucked this year. Would you be shocked if he goes to the Angels and bats 270 and a couple of home runs? No. Sorry, guys. Everybody wants to worry about the future. Future can be very bad for us. What if these future prospects don't work out? And then what are you going to do? You're going to complain just like you were with the Wilpons. Same shit. Well, it wasn't the starting pitching today. It was the errors by 2 veteran players that should be making easy plays. Yeah, but Todd, I'm not talking about trading Alvarez. The Mets didn't have to trade Alvarez to get better last year. All right? You don't think you could have traded J.D. Davis and 3 minor leaguers for something better than Darren Ruff? Come on. Rarely strikes out, 1 out.
I think his argument was on the first of him running and taking him out. I think that was the whole beef the whole time with the umpire, umpire. He just got ejected too.
I guess the don't play umpire. Let's see it again as he strikes out. Marks back at him.
Bryce Harper got thrown out of the game by the umpire.
It's been a whole night's event, right? Called a couple pitches on him that were very questionable. The first strike with a bunt, he thought he held back.
Harper has been ejected. I didn't say anything else after the ejection.
Michael, I was pissed with Eckler last year. I think there's times to make moves that better your team. Last year was the year. For a Mets franchise that don't have a lot of years like last year, you do what you got to do to make your team better. Because that one move, and it doesn't have to be a big move. I brought this up many times to many people that don't want to listen.
6 outs away, whatever it is.
Right? Did the Braves bring in anybody huge of significance? No, they brought Eddie Rosario, Jorge Soler, and Jock Peterson. Nothing that was going to move the needle. But it was veteran moves. It was depth moves that made them better and made them go on that run. Did anybody remember who was the Nationals' deadline moves? Bullpen help. Nothing big. Quality, solid bullpen arms. 2022, last year with the Phillies. How did the Phillies make that run? Did players play better? Yes, but they also got Gregory Soto. They got David Robinson. He wasn't very good for the Phillies, but it stabilized their bullpen, which they needed. Sometimes you just need a trade that stabilizes a team, like the Juan Uribe, Kelly Johnson in 2015. That stabilized a team. That's what people don't understand. People are like, what big move would they have made? It's not the point of a big move. It's the point of the move you needed at that time. You don't miss opportunities. You don't let opportunities go like last year. You are the New York Mets, who haven't won a World Series since '86. I don't want to hear about the future. Fuck the future, because we've been waiting for the future for a long time. Right? We're still waiting for the Jose Reyes and David Wright World Series. How did that future go? Come on, guys. Grow up and act like you watched baseball before and worrying about the future. All you prospect huggers are the problems with baseball, because you let a year go last year that was one of the best seasons of your franchise, and you let it go for Vogelbach, Darren Ruff, and Tyler Naquin, and Michael Givens. That's the problem. That's why Epler should have been fired, not because of what he did this year. Yeah, Todd, but at that moment, we didn't know what Scherzer was going to do in Game 1. The Mets were, 6 games up by the deadline, comfortably in a lead, and you don't make your team better. You basically made it worse. I'm sorry. The 2015 Mets were a 500 ball club at the trade deadline in 2015. The first big move they made, Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson. Was that big move? No, but it stabilized the team with veterans. That's what it did. LRF, thank you. It's not always the big moves that matter. It is little moves. Oh, nice play by McNeil. He makes a double play. Nice play. All right, Jeff, that's a great play there. Good job. So McNeil makes a nice catch to double up and end the inning. Reached up for that ball every inch of his body and catches the ball and makes a nice play to throw it to first and makes a double play. So top of the 8th. Mets trail by 4. Let's see if they can show any ties to life in these next 2 innings here. So again, here goes a team that makes the great play but can't make the easy play. That probably would have saved them 3 or 4 runs. Michael, again, the point. Well, that even goes more for my point. You get Scherzer last year. You get Chris Bassett in a trade, another veteran. You bring in Taijuan Walker a couple of years ago, a veteran. Carlos Carrasco, a veteran. If that wasn't the time to win now, then when is it? That is the point that I don't understand. People want to talk about the future, but the Mets made moves, which you can be against those moves. That's fine. But nobody was bitching and moaning when the Mets signed Scherzer. Nobody was complaining about the Mets bringing in a Cy Young Award winner last year. It was either him or DeGrom. Which one would you want at this moment? Because one is not pitching this year. All right, so let's not act like there was a lot of moves. The problem is this year, if you want to just look at this year, the players that are supposed to perform are not. That is basically it. And then it's turned into the players are not performing at their level. The pitching absolutely sucks. And the mental errors are coming from the pressure that they're putting themselves on. All that is a dumpster fire. And is the reason why there's 6 games, possibly 7 games over 500 after tonight. There's your problem. Well, I wouldn't be shocked if they're going to start doing that, Husky. Well, it's not even about the Vogelback or over Alvarez thing. It really does that wasn't the effect of the whole situation with the team, right? They could have played better in September, 1 or 2 games. They would have made all the difference in the world. The point of the matter is you have a team that was 6 games up, if I'm not mistaken, might have been 7 games up at the deadline. And you don't try to get even better when you're the top 3 teams in baseball record-wise? That's stupid. The future doesn't matter ever until it actually happens. Because you got 2 top 3 prospects on your team right now, and the Mets have been worse off with them. They had a better record with Escobar and Nito behind the plate. If you don't believe that, check the record. And Alvarez pops it up, of course. 1 out.
Harper was ejected from this game in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Yeah, but Andre, again, you didn't need a top prospect to get better last year. That's the problem that nobody understands. You could have look, last year, you know how many top prospects were basically moved in like a guy like Robertson, who Hunter Brown ended up being a top prospect, but he wasn't a top prospect when he was traded. Now he is. So, like, Josh Bell could have been had for probably a mid-level prospect. JD Martinez, Brandon Drury. Not saying those guys would have made a difference. So that is the issue, is that they didn't do enough or even try to do enough at the deadline.
Pinch hitting for Brett Beatty there. Brian, I want to ask you something about someone the level of Harper.
Mark Canna is pitch hitting for Brett Beatty.
I should give this guy a little bit longer leash because there are a lot of people here in the stadium or watching on TV that want to see this guy.
Sure, we understand that here. A lot of people say, people don't come to watch the umpire. They want to watch the players play. But the players should play and not argue. If you have a beef, there's ways to do it, there's ways not to do it. Sometimes they pick the way not to do it. And I don't know an umpire that wouldn't talk to you about a play or a pitch and discuss where the location was or what he had on the play. But once you start getting personal, you tread on thin ice.
All right, well, now Harper's having his beef and cheesesteak form in the clubhouse. Brian Gorman, thank you very much.
You bet, thanks.
3 balls and a strike on Mark Canna, who looks to strike 2 from Alvarado.
I've had Brian behind home plate. He's amazing. You talk to him, talk to you back throughout the game. He'll ask questions. You ask him questions, he'll give it to you. There's nothing better than an umpire where you have a really good relationship with, and you can just go back and forth regardless of the outcome.
Full count on Canna, batting for Beatty. And VENMO on deck as the Mets try to get the top of their order up. Now to come back here tonight in Philadelphia.
Canna takes ball 4 with a pitch that should have been a strike.
Alvarado thought it was strike 3. Instead, it's ball 4. Canna draws a walk.
Alvarado's thinking, where was that? That's a good slider cutter right there. Could have been a little low. See if it crosses the knees. And it's above the knees. That's a good pitch right
So,
there.
1 out walk for the Mets. Leadoff VENMO coming up.
Fouls running home plate. VENMO in a home run in the 3rd. It's the only Mets run so far tonight.
I think with Alvarado, he throws 100 miles an hour away, but it's a sinking baller too. I mean, it's heavy. It's sinking right into your hands. The only chance you get is to get the first couple of pitches. Other than that, you're on two-strike mode the whole time. You're on defense mode.
Can't be a comfortable at bat, even though with that check swing, it's a foul ball. Canada took off for second just in case. It was off the bat.
Well, J.D. Davis wasn't performing last year, so I could – again, it was stupid to trade him for Ruff, but Michael Conforto wasn't playing last year, so he wouldn't have helped us anyway. So
ball, 2 strikes.
1 out, 1 on, 5-1 Phillies, top of the 8th. Nemo up.
Go back to the dugout and say, I'd rather lose a battle, but not the war. I'd rather be able to fight tomorrow than.
You're survivalist.
Double cookie.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Nemo.
That's why it's incredible to watch these hitters nowadays. Guys are throwing 100 miles an hour away, and you're able to lay off pitches and nasty cutters coming at you. It's impressive.
And right down the middle, strike 3, 2 outs.
It was Nemo made an error in the first inning tonight.
I agree, Johnny.
Put the Mets in a wayward start. A ball that Kyle Schwarber hit on a fly.
Again, all the runs came off of an error.
The Phillies scored 2 unearned runs in the 6th inning. They got a run on this play. A ball that fell in, a pop-up that should have been caught. The Phillies taking advantage of the Mets' mistakes tonight.
Marte up for 2 outs.
Ball 1 to Starling. Marte's over 3 tonight.
And that's a ground ball. Should end the inning, and it does. Mets are now scoring the 8th, going to the bottom of the 8th, 5-1 Phillies. Yeah, guys, I mean, you know, all the nonsense that the Mets had to deal with Marte being out in September and not playing well in September, they had an opportunity last year against the Braves to win 1 game, and it would have won in the division. So, but again, I go back to the trade deadline. You were top 3 teams in baseball, record-wise at the time. Teams got better when the Mets basically got worse. I'm sorry. I never thought that bringing in Vogelback or bringing in Ruff or bringing in Nate Quinn or bringing in Givens. Remember, Givens was a last-second move by Epler when the Mets needed another bullpen arm and needed a bat. Right? Vogelback was okay, but he was – let's not go into Vogelback because I couldn't stand that trade when it happened. Well, explosive. I mean, would Ohtani help this team right now? Would Ohtani drop that ball? I don't know. You know, there's a lot of things to look at, but like, you know, just because Josh Bell didn't perform well for the Padres doesn't mean he would have performed well for the Mets. Different areas, different teams, different opportunities could have been different. Right? The same thing with JD Martinez. JD Martinez didn't have a really good second half last year, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't have had a good second half for the Mets. And that's what you see all the time, right? It's just a matter of there wasn't enough, I guess, pressure or even like movement or momentum from Epler to try to make this team better. It seems like he let things fall into his lap instead of going after it. You know, we can always talk about, you know, Brian Cashman, but it seems like Brian Cashman always tries to make a move. Even if it doesn't work out, he makes that move. He always is looking for something. Epler seemed like he was just waiting for something to happen, waiting to fall in his lap. So Mark Canna's playing third base. Well, that's happening. Trade Escobar mid-game. So Vinny Natoli just called up today. Is on the mound for the Mets. Let's see what he got.
Tyler McGill was sent to the minor leagues, but Canna playing third, a position he's played a lot in his professional career. Because Escobar got dealt to the Angels for 2 minor league pitchers earlier tonight. Ball to the right field corner, long run for Marte. Goes up just about to the warning track.
So Natoli has a very interesting slider. Not explosive. That toe is ligament damage and all types of other stuff. That's a problem. That's not easy for a big guy like that. Toes. Look at DJ LeMahieu. His toe was a problem last year. He's not the same player anymore. Not saying that Judge won't be the same player when he comes back, but that's an injury that's not easy, and that's a big toe. That's not easy.
Fastball curve change.
This is Natoli's 4th major league game, his first as a member
Well,
of the Mets. Canna's played about
Stezo, I mean,
5 games at third base.
we played 4 games against the Phillies and the Mets at 3-1. So
This season. Played there a little, not a lot. Mostly
We'll see.
outfielder.
jeez.
Vinny Natoli's last big league appearance was with the Phillies. Pitched in 2 games for the Phillies last year.
Well, honestly, I don't even think the Yankees or Judge thought it was that serious until,
High school,
they needed PRP shots. Like that. That's when you know something's wrong. Ground ball. Oh, playing that makeshift shift caused that to be a base hit.
That's the difference right there with the shift ruling right now. Usually, more than not, you would have somebody stand there, but without the shift, then Noah will shoot more up the middle. With the wet grass, the wet infield, that ball's going to skip. That ball's going to take at least 15 to 20 miles an hour more than it would normally. Just a tough play all around, especially with good speed by Marsh.
One out hit. Here's Edmundo Sosa.
So Natoli likes his slider, apparently.
Francisco Alvarez, one of them checking on the other there for that foul ball. Good cut from Sosa. Marsh is running. Sosa fouls one off.
Marsh had that bag all the way. Your Sosa right there. It's unfortunate. Absolutely. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, man, he was 100% guaranteed going to make it. That big lead again.
He's running again. Sosa lifts one to a deep left. Backcourt is Pham. Makes the catch.
Nice play by Pham.
Marsh returns to first after a long drive off the bat of Sosa.
Well, JO, you can't rebuild when you have a payroll like this because, again, that's why you should never worry about the future because this is what happens when you worry about the future.
Nice Italian name, Vinny Natoli. Folks in Queens love that. So who might get not just that. Here's Kyle Schwarber. Struck out twice, walked his last time. Schwarber is the one who reached on the error by Nimmo.
Yeah, explosive. What does that toughness give us, right? 6 games under 500.
Got to it, called for it. Just couldn't secure the catch. Charged for his first error of the season. The Phillies put up 2 unearned runs in that first inning. Haven't looked back.
Oh,
They lead 5-1.
Fan, listen, we're doing everything wrong at this moment.
The Phillies trying to win for the 14th time in their last 18 games. It was right around the same time last year at the beginning of June when they started to play better. Throw behind.
Oh, got him.
Marsh is now caught between first and second. Alonso flicks to the
And that ends the inning.
That ends the inning.
Alvarez thrown it to first. And the inning is over, getting picked off there. Andre might be. Again, you're going to see a lot of, it's not like the Mets are going to be traded. Marte's not going anywhere. Right? Nobody's taking on unless the Mets are going to take on all that money and maybe get something back. Guys like Pham, guys like Canna, guys like Robertson, maybe even Ottavino. Might be guys, Ottavino has 2 years on his contract or 1 year left after this year. But guys that are basically done after this year, you could try to get something for it. Yeah, Alex, exactly. Ever since that, we were 7-1 going into the final 2 games of the West Coast trip against the Giants. And we lost. And even that last game of the series where the Mets came back and took the lead and then lost it in later innings. They lost those 2 games, and ever since then, it's been downfall for the Mets. And, after 21 games, the Mets were 14-7 to start the year. It's a good start. And then it unraveled from there. So, unfortunately for the Mets, they put themselves in their own little predicament. Players not performing up to their capabilities in the lineup. The pitching, basically a no-show all year. And this is what you get. Mental errors, defensive mistakes, simple pop-ups that are catch 99% of the time. I hate Apple with their stupid probability things, but that probability of the Nimmo catch was 99%. That one with Lindor was 100%. So, excuse me. So this is what happens when you make simple. Look, every run that was scored from the Phillies was based off of that error. The Lindor era and the Nimmo era. You can't win ball games like that. You can't make those mistakes and expect to win ball games. So, last licks for the Mets. Top of the ninth, down by 4. Lindor, Alonso, and Vogelback. See if the Mets can show a pulse or they lose. We'll see.
The Union will host Inter Miami. Coverage begins Saturday at 6:55 p.m. Eastern Time on Apple TV.
Craig Kimbrell is on the mound for the Phillies.
Pitchers will often use their closers in these spots. And here's Kimbrell, who has the 8th most saves in Major League history.
What a weird season. He has a 4.5 ERA, but he's 10 for 10 in saves. It makes no sense.
His whole career, 2 pitches.
That was the curve, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike on Lindor. Kimbrell's been really good lately, a 1.59 ERA over his last 17 appearances. Just 4 walks against 30 strikeouts in that time. 2 balls and a strike on Lindor.
Left-handed hitters are hitting 158.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Right-handed hitter,
Game day went crazy on me. Apologize for that.
That's not a guy you
Let
really
me try to
want
fix that.
have a fight at the fire rack.
You never know when the control's going to escape Kimbrell, though. Sometimes he'll walk himself into trouble. Falls behind Lindor, 3 balls and 1 strike.
All right, guys, let me get that back up there. Sorry about that. Sometimes game day pops up and goes away for a second, and then it comes back. There we go.
Faltering down the stretch last year.
And that's a leadoff walk for Lindor. And this is what Craig Kimbrell does. He gets himself into trouble with walks. Obviously, the Mets need a ton of base runners. Down by 4.
Really using his big guns today. When you talk about Soto, Alvarado, and Kimbrell all pitched today, or they all pitched yesterday. It tells you how important the first game of this series is for the Phillies. We talked to him earlier today. He said these wins against a divisional team count as 2 for them. They know what it takes in this division to get going.
There's a strike to Alonso.
I agree, Explosive. I thought it should have been Evan and Salicata. But then again, BT and Salicata is going to be pretty damn good.
against
I think that's gonna be the best show on WFN. Sal and BT.
Already almost July.
All right, Alonso up, and that's a ball.
Ball one strike. These
Gotta
two
be
teams
patient with
might see each
Kimbrel.
other again after
Gotta
this
get base
weekend.
runners here.
First
Can't hit a
game of the
4-run
season,
home run
last
here.
2 weekends of the year they face each other.
Kimbrel threw 16 pitches yesterday.
Alonso with a fly ball, shallow. Schwarber is in.
And well, at least Schwarber can catch fly balls. Yeah, Evan and Tiki is again. We can be shocked by that, you know.
Division games, the Marlins, the Braves, and then those 7 games.
But I think Sal and BT are going to be really good.
So these two teams could be vying for a playoff spot against each other. The Phillies very much within the wild card race right now. The Mets not out of it. There's still way too much time for that. Ultimately, the Mets believe they can and will turn things around, but that's up to them.
They're also facing Brewers, the Padres, the Marlins, St. Louis. Those are all playoff teams, or teams that think they have a chance right now.
Who knows where the Marlins will be then? They could be in a position to fight for a wild card. They are right now one of the wild cards.
Vogel back up, 1 out, 1 on. 5-1 Phillies, top of the ninth.
I don't know how it would feel. Is it a fun time in September or a very stressful time in September for the Phillies?
Well, you tell me.
It's stressful. There you go. It's stressful.
The Phillies handled that stress, got in last year. Ron Thompson, after he took over as manager, really turned things around. It was the first time a team made a managerial change in season and went to the playoffs since 2009.
Lindor is running,
Lindor is running,
and that's ball 3.
Get to second base. Without a throw, it goes to 3 balls and no strikes on Vogelbach.
So Kimbrel's giving the Mets some type of chance here. Here's an idea for the Mets: don't swing. They'll probably walk you.
Last year when Ron Thompson took over, right there with the Braves and the Dodgers ahead of them, is the 3rd best team in the National League. It really changed their season.
They played with urgency, day in and day out. It was a must-win every single night.
The team was 22 and 29 when Joe Girardi got fired. They finished 12 games above 500. Kimbrel has come back from 3-0 to make it 3-2.
Be careful, we'll be here. The fastball hitter. I see 2 of them already.
And Vogelbach flies it out of play.
You know you're going to get another one, right? You don't want to walk another guy. It's a 5-1 ball game. What happens if Vogelbach hits a home run? So be it. It's 5-3. Last thing you want to do, though, if you're Kimbrel, is walk somebody else. You're ready at 14 pitches. You want to go right after him.
Tommy Pham waits to bat next as Kimbrel tries to get the last couple outs. Phillies trying to stay hot. They've won 13 of their last 17. Ball go back with a pop-up.
And it should be 2 outs, and it is.
In comes Schwarber.
Ah, look at that. You call the ball and you catch it. Mets should learn from that.
Playoff odds have changed quite a bit, especially for the Mets.
Mets have a 20% chance of making the playoffs at this point today.
The way that they've played lately, they're ticking back up. They've been on a great run here. The Phillies have been paced by their starting pitching over the last 17 games entering tonight. Philly starters.
So, 1 out left to go.
62 ERA. Taijuan Walker.
Mets need base runners.
6 innings. Brilliant job to keep that going. Kimbrel was just called for a balk. So
Kimbrel was called for a balk. Lindor goes to 3rd. Alex, I was watching it the other day when he hit that home run.
We've seen
Yeah, explosive. I seen that.
Doesn't really matter. Why is that?
Both New York teams might be out of the playoffs this year.
I'd rather be at third base than be at second.
The Doors run meaningless right now in a 4-run game.
Strike two.
No balls and 2 strikes against Kimbrel. Phillies were swept by the Mets in New York a few weeks ago, trying to return the favor this weekend. Hoping to get game 1 of this 3-game series tonight. Fed able to stay alive for now.
Tommy Pham.
So right at the top of the zone, a borderline pitch called a ball. This will be the 20th pitch of the inning coming up for Kimbrel.
Yeah, I don't even believe that. Because without Judge, they're not a good team. They're under 500 team. And Pham strikes out and ends the misery for the Mets. The Mets, all 5 runs came off of mistakes, errors by the Mets. And basically the Phillies would have probably had no runs. Pop-ups that should have been caught that probably could have ended innings and did not. And the Mets lose 5-1 to the Philadelphia Phillies. And the Mets fall a season worse. 7 games under 500. Looking worse and worse day by day. And the Mets lose 5-1. And the Mets are not looking very good at all. Mental mistakes, easy pop-ups, cost the Mets runs here. And he gave opportunities to a team that is playing well. And even any team, you make mistakes, another team's going to capitalize. And that's where the Mets are at the moment. So, once again, guys, the New York Mets lose 5-1, are now 34-41. And the Mets are... who knows? Maybe somebody will get traded tomorrow as well. If you just tuned in, Eduardo Escobar was traded to the Angels for 2 minor leaguers. Hopefully everybody has a good night. Try to at the very least. Mets lose 5-1. Tomorrow, we'll see what is in store for us Mets fans tomorrow because unfortunately the Mets are not looking good and it continues to be a downward spiral for the 2023 season. So with that said, I won't be doing a stream tomorrow, so hopefully everybody watches the game and prays for a Mets win. We'll see. Everybody have a great night. Mets lose 5-1. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets. Good night, guys.